Bloodborne rumors seemingly crop up every other month, people trying to farm clicks on Twitter, Reddit, or just people trying to have a joke. Sometimes it's just fan art, but this time the rumors that are circulating about Bloodborne Remastered, a Bloodborne Remake, or Bloodborne PC, also Bloodborne II, these are coming from a source that's giving it a little bit more traction, and it's also seemingly tied to the PlayStation Showcase. Now, it's getting more attention because they're also grouping them together. Up to now, there's always been requests for a Bloodborne remaster or a remake or bring it to PC. Many people wanting to see 60 FPS. Bloodborne 2 has sort of not been nearly as requested, at least in my estimation. More people seem to focus on the first game. Up to now, I have actually done my best to ignore these Bloodborne rumors and leaks because it's typically just somebody impression farming on Twitter, somebody on Reddit or 4chan kind of having a gag, and then that's sort of the end of it. But this time, it does feel like there's some legitimacy to it, and I want to say, please just say something, whether it's Sony, PlayStation, an official announcement. I think we need to put this thing to bed. It's getting a little irritating and old, and this time it could have an effect on the PlayStation Showcase. Now, I put all the good info right here at the beginning. I'm going to break down what was said, who said it, and all of that. Make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button. The reason the video is longer is because it's a live stream, and I do discuss it with the live audience. It wouldn't be a month in gaming news without a Bloodborne rumor or a Bloodborne leak, and typically they end up being fake art pieces or fan-made tweets that go viral. Oftentimes people are just trying to have a laugh and they're trying to trick everyone, and sometimes it's just somebody asking which game they hope gets remade and it starts trending on Twitter. But this time we have a source that doesn't seem to be clout chasing. They didn't seem to be trying to garner a bunch of attention and clicks. It was sort of a passing comment that led to more info, and then it seems like this is credible. This is not a previous sort of Bloodborne click grab that we've seen. So I want to break this into three parts. First, I want to talk about a Bloodborne remake or remaster, and David Jaffe is the source this time, and I actually think he's telling the truth, which gives some credibility to the recent swath of rumors. And I will tell you why I think that. Next, Bloodborne 2 rumors. Why are there, things circulating about a Bloodborne sequel? It's baked into this, along with rumors about it being included at the PlayStation Showcase. And last but certainly not least, I'm saying to just say something, please. Could somebody make an official announcement? I believe this would be a good thing to address this. It would help us all ignore the rumors every time they crop up. So let's just talk about a Bloodborne remake. Now, whether it's a remake or a remaster is up for debate. We don't actually know, and I think it's tough to talk about a Bloodborne remake because some people assume that it would just be a remaster. Now, according to an insider in 2022, a PC port version of the game actually exists. Earlygame.com had the quote, "A 60 FPS patch for the PS4 version is 2 lines of code that need changing. Japan Studio had a build of the game that was running on Windows 7 when they were shut down, and Sony likely still has that build sitting in their archives, as well as all the source for it. I've seen it." So this is somebody claiming that they've seen a build of Bloodborne running on a PC, running, Windows 7. This is, obviously a very long time ago. Whether or not this is true, that would likely influence what we end up getting. That could lead to just a remaster. If they have core code that can be updated and upgraded to 60 FPS, many people have speculated that that's not as simple as people make it out to be, that the core game was built around 30 FPS. So your iframes, your animations when you attack, the enemy animations and movement would all need to be retooled, given that the game was never built for 60 FPS. They actually ran into problems with this with the Horizon Zero Dawn port. Even clothing animations and things just didn't look quite right because they were never coded for 60 FPS. There was a 60 FPS mod that was made public in February of 2021, but it required modding your PS4 and supporting a Patreon, so it didn't get lots of traction. Not very many people are willing to do that. It looks impressive when you bump the game up to 60, but I'm sure there were issues with the game that was not originally designed to run that way. So enter stage left, David Jaffe. Up to now, the Bloodborne rumors rumors typically land on Reddit or 4chan or just an account on Twitter with impressive fake artwork or screenshots that sort of tricks everybody. You can take a screenshot from the original game, you can throw it into Photoshop, dress it up, make it look really impressive, and you can trick the world for a little less than 24 hours. It's happened many times. But this time, it was a passing comment from David Jaffe that required an official update from him in the form of a Twitter video. So first, what did he say? Well, during one of his Gabbin' and Games videos, he spoke on it. And according to thegamer.com, during a discussion about the rumored PlayStation Showcase, which is set to arrive later this month, we've already covered that. It's apparently landing before May 25th, or on May 25th. Jaffe said that he had heard about Bloodborne, but wasn't sure if it would be in this month's presentation. And then a viewer said that it was missing Bloodborne for me. So many people are looking at this showcase and saying, yeah, well, what about Bloodborne? We're hearing rumors. I already sort of covered this. There was a Reddit thread where there are rumors about a Bloodborne remake, remaster, as well as a Bloodborne 2 announcement being present at the showcase. Jaffe replied and said, oh yeah, I love that game. I don't know if it's a remaster. I don't know if it's just a PC version, but we know it's in development. But when are they going to show it? I don't effing know. So he basically said, listen, we know it's being made, okay? So we don't know what it is, but we know it's being made. I'm not sure if he knew his simple remark was going to set the video game world on fire, but it's Bloodborne, so of course it did. This prompted a response from him the following day on Twitter, and this response is what actually made me say, I think we should cover this because it gives credibility to what he's saying. His video on Twitter is 4 minutes long, but I pulled out some choice quotes, okay? He starts out by saying, I don't have insider knowledge. That's not what he was trying to claim or position himself in, like, oh, I've got insider knowledge. There are plenty of people who are always writing blogs and articles who are trying to scoop each other and, like, get the leaks out there first. He went on to say that he doesn't value having info more than other people. Like, oh, I've got things that you don't know. He said this, quote, all I said was a reporter, she told me. She said it's happening. It's a real thing, and we should be seeing a reveal sooner than later. That was it. I don't effing know. So he was kind of irritated. He was like, I don't know, guys. I wasn't trying to claim I had insider information. He's like, I wasn't doing that. It was just a passing remark. Somebody told me that this thing is real. He went on to say, I don't leak stuff. I knew Insomniac was working on Wolverine, and I didn't say anything. That's not my job to do that. That's disrespectful to the team. So if he knows something in advance that he could leak, he's saying that he doesn't do that. He doesn't view this as a leak or something that he got privy to from a team or something that he knew from previously working in the industry. He did kind of rant about how he doesn't miss working on video games because it was so hard. And he even thinks in the current landscape, it's even more challenging. He went on to say this, I heard a journalist say, very reputable, who's never been wrong when she tells me stuff, that they are actually doing it. He then said that he asked for details. She said she didn't know if it was a remake or a remaster. She doesn't know if Blue Point's doing Metal Gear or if they're doing this. So all of this sounds to me like an honest telling of a conversation. And the way she talks about it doesn't sound like somebody who's like blowing smoke or chasing clout. She's like, oh no, yeah, there's a Bloodborne remaster or remake, and we don't know who's making it, but we're going to hear an announcement sooner than later. Jaffe said that she told him, look, as long as you don't give people my name, you can tell people what I've told you. Now, other rumors were already circling about it. There was rumors circling about Bloodborne being a part of the PlayStation Showcase. This is before Jaffe said anything about it. It's likely why he got asked about it. They were starting to crop up on Reddit and in conversations on Twitter. His stream was on May 9th in the evening. I did a stream that morning about the PlayStation Showcase, and in my research, I saw numerous tweets, and I even saw a Reddit mega thread that said it. It included it in the rundown of all the studios and alleged projects that Sony has in the fire. So this was out there in the ether before Jaffe said anything. So this doesn't seem like people need to be going after him and acting like he tried to say something or he's trying to, clout chase or something. This was already sort of out there. It makes me think that we might have a genuine leak this time. If reliable reporters, who according to him are never wrong, if they're saying it, and it's showing up in other places prior to us even hearing this, it could be an actual word on the street moment rather than just some 4chan user chasing clicks. So, what about Bloodborne 2? Bloodborne 2 is getting baked into this, and I'll be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if they finally decide to do a Bloodborne remaster, remake, or PC port, that it would coincide with an announcement about Bloodborne 2. That's kind of the way you operate in these spaces, right? You get everybody's attention, you bring back the game remake, remaster, and then you couple it with a sequel announcement. This is where it gets a little interesting because Jaffe and his source said nothing about Bloodborne 2. That needs to be explicitly stated. Jaffe never mentioned Bloodborne 2. His source never mentioned Bloodborne 2, right? His source, the reporter. But the mega thread on Reddit coupled the Bloodborne remake and Bloodborne 2 together. And a separate thread said the following about Miyazaki. They were speculating about what's going to come after Armored Core 6. They put together a handful of things that Miyazaki has said. Number one, he's done with Dark Souls, but other directors can add an entry if it's meaningful. Regarding Elden Ring, there's still things he wants to do. The line about still things he wants to do in Elden Ring came before the DLC announcement, so he was likely referring to that, and that is on the horizon. We should expect to see other colors or directions of game development from directors other than himself, but he will continue to direct. He's developing multiple titles and other directors. And this last one's the important one. This is the important one. He'd personally like to work on some games with a higher degree of abstract fantasy in the medium long to long term. So he wants to do something that's more abstract fantasy. And that's what caught my attention because there was something that I disregarded a while ago. Essentially, sports.com ran with this. I'm not saying this is credible. I'm saying when I first saw this, I threw it over my shoulder as nothing. But it seems like it's lining up with what Miyazaki said he wanted to do. A recent leak on 4chan suggests that he is working on a huge game that goes by the codename Spellbound. This game is said to be a little smaller than Elden Ring. Now, the reason I didn't report on this is because it's coming from 4chan. They're right, like, a stopped clock is right once and twice a day, you know, so it's like, come on. These guys get things right sometimes, but I feel like sometimes they're just guessing, okay? It sounds an awful lot like a game with higher degree of abstract fantasy, though, when you look at the gameplay details. Listen to this. Gameplay-wise, it would have spells as weapons. Players could use wieldable spells and use them as swords and axes. It is being said that the attack pattern would be similar to every Soulsborne game, using R1 for light attacks and R2 for heavy. This could be total coincidence that this person ran to 4chan and just kind of made this up. But again, it does seem like it's aligning with what they said about Miyazaki wanting to do something. Now, this Spellbound game is allegedly the spiritual successor to Bloodborne. Now, this would obviously be in conflict with the claims that a Bloodborne 2 is on the way in conjunction with the Bloodborne remaster. But this just feels like a lot of smoke. There's got to be a fire somewhere. If it wasn't somebody faking out fans, it was typically people just doing something fun. Funny enough, there was a tweet that made Bloodborne go viral. Bloodborne 2 went viral. This tweet here from Rhino, he basically said, hey, what do you want to, if you can only have one. And the reason he tricked me is the Ghost of Tsushima one. I thought, oh, that looks amazing, right? Like for half a second, I thought it was a legitimate piece of artwork. That 2 in Ghost is just so good. The 2 in Bloodborne is just so good. Okay, so this tweet tricked me, but he wasn't trying to trick people. He was just saying, hey, if you can only get one, which one do you pick? Well, everybody picked Bloodborne 2. So Bloodborne 2 started trending on Twitter, and that obviously always makes people think that something is about to happen. This was purely fans getting excited about the potential prospect of the game coming out. So, why do I think that they should say something? That's kind of what the thumbnail of this, this monologue says. Hey, come on, say something, okay? At this point, I think somebody needs to say something, and I'm going to give you a variety of reasons. This is becoming the Elder Scrolls 6 question all over again. If you remember, every time Bethesda would sit down to do an interview about anything, it could have been Doom, it could have been a notebook, and people were asking about the Elder Scrolls 6. It got to the point where they just had to put together a very basic trailer to shut everybody up. Yep. It's gonna come someday. Please stop asking us about it. We'd like to talk about our other games and our other efforts. This is going to happen every time there's a Sony showcase, there's a Sony State of Play. Like clockwork, when we know there's a Sony State of Play or the PlayStation showcase on the horizon, we know that these rumors and these leaks are going to crop up because everybody's desperately waiting for the moment that we get a Bloodborne remaster or a Bloodborne remake. My contention is this: if the game is not currently being made, then just tell us that. A very simple announcement of currently there's no active development on Bloodborne remaster, remake, PC port, or a sequel. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Some people might disagree with me, right? Why bother saying anything? No, it's free marketing after all. I agree with this up to a point. I believe that you reach a threshold where consumers start to get annoyed. I also think they start to blur the line between debunked leaks and reality. There will actually be a good amount of people that are going to watch the PlayStation showcase and expect to see Bloodborne because, well, they read it on the internet after all. And while that's annoying and not really fair to PlayStation, it's just so easily dispelled. Some might think, well, why would you discourage people from watching the showcase? If they're watching hoping to see Bloodborne, they're going to see all your other announcements. Listen, I can't imagine hearing that Bloodborne's currently not in active development would really drive showcase viewership down. PlayStation's been quiet for far too long. This showcase stands to be an absolute barn burner. So telling people that, hey, there's not going to be any Bloodborne anytime soon, it's not in active development, and then it's sort of over and done with. Nobody's thinking that it's going to be at the showcase. I believe it's far better to walk away from the showcase and have nothing but positive headlines, especially after how silent Sony has been, rather than have headlines that, once again, no Bloodborne announcement, because, listen, the press knows that negative sells. That's how you get clicks. So it's far better to set the expectation that it won't be there. Why? Well, a handful of reasons. First, you can get the negative press out of the way. It'll have less impact now. It's not going to be that detrimental to be like, yep, they just confirmed that, there is no Bloodborne in active development. So then everybody's going to think, oh, it's not going to be the showcase then. Second, you get the audience to focus on and look forward to what will actually be there. Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 16, surprise announcements, right? Those are like Christmas presents. If the mystery surrounding Bloodborne continues to grow, it'll be like that one Christmas present that you hoped to get. Each one you open increases the fear and the dread that you might not get that Red Ryder BB gun. That's what Bloodborne's going to feel like, and that's how people would approach a showcase, and if they don't see Bloodborne, that's all they'll remember. To a certain degree. I believe the rumors this time around. I do. I honestly think there's something going on. Something's being cooked up. It doesn't seem like the kind that we've gotten before, right? It also doesn't seem like you would have this property and just perpetually ignore it. Look at what happens to the internet every time the word is uttered. If you've learned anything, and if I've learned anything about leaks and rumors lately, it's becoming more and more true. Where there is smoke, there is fire. And as far as I can tell, Bloodborne is cooking somewhere, and hopefully we get to see it soon. Let me give you my thoughts and my conclusions. It's clear that Bloodborne is more than just a cult classic at this point, okay? In a time where remakes and remasters are mocked, they're criticized, people sort of jeer at them, Bloodborne seems to be the exception. It's one of the rare games that landed before 60 FPS that has this larger consideration and demand for it to be bumped up to 60 FPS. And FromSoftware gameplay certainly benefits from the superior performance of 60 frames per second. Secondly, typically these types of rumors don't get coverage here. I have not covered these Bloodborne rumors before on this channel in the live environment. I believe I've done one upload on my other channel about this, and generally I ignore this stuff, okay? If you want to click farm, if you want to trick people on Twitter, I just don't feel like covering that. But the way this was stated and the eventual response from Jaffe about it, it made me stop and consider. If a reliable reporter who's never been wrong is saying things that were already showing up in other places, that feels solid. So, if it's coming, I just don't expect to hear anything until the moment the trailer drops. That's if it's actually coming. Conclusion. If in fact the game is coming and will be announced soon, I expect more silence. But if this is all smoke and no fire, I believe it would be best to speak to it. A very simple press release or a tweet would work wonders. Silk Song just did it. They came out and said, listen, the game is much bigger than we anticipated. It's gotten quite large. It's not going to make it in the first half of 2023. And that was all he said. It was very, very vague, but also it was good just to have somebody say something. PlayStation stands ready to turn the heat up with their showcase, and the timing of it, along with the number of announcements, is going to be pivotal in how effective that it is. So, is a Bloodborne remake coming? What about a Bloodborne PC port? What about Bloodborne 2? Honestly, I don't know, but Sony would be foolish to not do something with it. And the sooner they say something, the better. And that's the show open. Thank you guys so much for being here this morning. Listen, I know that you're like, hey man, Zelda's burning the world down. Why aren't you talking about Zelda? That's tomorrow's show. I was not going to slap together a show this morning. I put a lot of work into the show. I do a lot of research, and there was no way I was going to slap together a Zelda show. So tomorrow morning, you can look forward to a Zelda show. But have no fear. I have a Game of the Year upload later for you. It's within the confines of Diablo and Zelda and all the other games. So Zelda will be discussed today in an upload. But right now, I want to talk about Bloodborne. Do you guys agree with me? Thank you for the $5 super chat tip, by the way. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you're going through all of the morning rituals. Smash that like button. Get us to 200 likes. Thank you so much for the strong turnout. Over 500 people here already. Get the coffee orders going. Let's get the members going, all right? I have ignored the Bloodborne leaks and rumors up to this point because it's always a click farm. It's always a click farm. It's always a fake out, right? A $5 super chat from NY. People who want Bloodborne 2 didn't understand Bloodborne. Good morning, Raptor. Trying my first cup of light roast. This stuff is so good. Raptor, I'm glad you're enjoying the coffee. Thank you so much. If you guys want to give testimonials in the chat about just how good Reforge roast is, feel free to do that and get more people to order. Please keep it spoiler free. Oh yeah, we're not talking about that. We're not. You guys don't hijack my stream. If you want to talk about that game, you got to come here tomorrow. We'll be talking about it. We'll be doing a review roundup, and then we will play it. It depends on what kind of gamer you are. I played every Souls game as well, and while I love them, I played through once and then I'm good. Eugene says, I definitely think there's more to this rumor than there has been in the past. Yeah, every time I've tried to vet the rumors and the leaks before now, every single time, it's always so flimsy. I'm like, that's just somebody on 4chan. Oh, that's just somebody on Twitter click farming with fake artwork. It's always super flimsy. This time, I was like, wait a minute. Jaffe said something. What did Jaffe say? And then I went and looked at what he said, and then I looked at his response, and I was like, no, this is different. This isn't just somebody clout farming. He's like, look, man. He's like, I'm not trying to clout farm or to click farm or chase. He's like, it was a passing remark that he made in response to somebody's question, okay? And then he's like, it came from a reporter. He's like, I'm not playing the insider information thing. He's like, it came from a reporter. They're never wrong. I actually think what's most likely coming is a Bloodborne remaster or a remake. I actually think the Bloodborne sequel rumors are less solid. I think the remake remaster rumors are a whole lot more solid. Bloodborne 2, but a remake. Maybe not Bloodborne 2, but a remake or a remaster could definitely be in the works. What about Demon's Souls PC port? Could that be what this is all about? Yeah, I don't know. That could be it as well. If the Demon's Souls remake is headed to PC, that could be creating a lot of false stories about, a PC port of Bloodborne or whatever. But the way that it was the way that Jaffe handled it, was the way that he said it. It was like, it just didn't seem like some made up thing. The other thing to consider is, he says this reporter, she's never wrong. She's saying stuff that was already out there. It was already whispers of this happening, like, oh yeah, there's a remake and a remaster coming. It's going to be at the showcase. Now, people were attributing it being at the showcase to Jaffe. Jaffe's like, I never said it was going to be at the showcase. That's not what I said. He said that there would be an announcement more sooner than later. He's saying that she said that. It has to be a remake, says Zubair. If a remaster was possible, wouldn't have been done already. You guys want to know what my theory is? This is my theory. I believe a remaster was in the works, and I think they pressed pause on it at some point. The reason, I have no idea, but I think there was a remaster in the works at some point. That's why the whispers started. That's why the rumors started. I believe they have since decided to do a remake. If you look at what they did with The Last of Us had a remaster. And then they did the remake. And the remaster, in some respects, it kind of hurt the optics on the remake. Because everyone's like, didn't you just do this? Because people don't pay attention. Words are very important. So the remaster was compared to the remake, and it kind of muddied the waters. It's like, no, this is a genuine from-the-ground-up remake. This is actually pretty significant. That's what I think happened. I think that there was a remaster at some point, and they decided to stop production on it and then say, listen, the success of the Demon's Souls remake may have been what convinced them, right? It may have convinced them to be like, we should be doing a remake instead. Remakes, a full-on $70 PlayStation 5 quality remake is likely what they decided to do, as opposed to a remaster. They don't need to do a remake, just a remaster. This is just a theory. I don't have any evidence to point to this being true. I'm simply theorizing that would explain why we've had rumors for such an extended period of time. That's why nobody knows whether it's a remake or a remaster, because everybody's getting different pieces of the bread. Like, everybody's getting a breadcrumb to be like, they're working on something with Bloodborne, but the reason that no one has a concrete answer is because because my theory, I'm trying to come up with like an Occam's razor explanation here. What would be the most simplistic reason there'd be so many rumors for so long, and having some of them say remaster and some of them saying remake, right? Hello, Bloodborne fan who has a question. What's your question, Wheezy? Yo, B-Rex Media with 3 months of membership. Bloodborne's mega overrated in my opinion. I think a remake or a remaster will just highlight the issues. Also mega hype for Tears of the Kingdom. Yo! Risick coming in and just blowing the doors off the day. What a turnout, by the way. I was really worried when I saw the starting numbers. I was like, oh my gosh, Zelda's going to kill us. We're doing great. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the incredible support. Here come the 20 gifted memberships in chat. James Tiberius Kirk with a $10 super chat tip says, Bloodborne is an easy top 10 game of all time in my opinion. Bloodborne remake just for 60 FPS would be glorious. Playing through it again at the moment, most played game in 45 years of gaming for me. So we got somebody saying it's overrated, and then James Tiberius Kirk comes in and says this is one of the greatest games ever made. What you talking about? Cardoc Ren is going to gift some members. Hey, good to see you in the chat, Harry. Harry just got a gifted membership. Harry has been around with me for a very long time. I hope you're actually here, Harry, and it's not like gifting people that aren't here. Sometimes it does that. Then they get the email, then they come in. You all have sold me. If they do a remake, I'll play it, says Zubair. Not an overrated game. That would be Deathloop, says Josh Allen. Listen, I've never played Bloodborne. I'll just give you my FromSoftware experience. So those of you in the chat that don't know this, my FromSoftware experience is as follows. Jedi Fallen Order convinced me to replay it on a harder difficulty. I've never done that before, okay? DK Bager wants to be the agent of chaos. He says, that 25 over 25 is just too clean. Let's roll it over to 26 over 50. Thank you so much for doing that, DK Bager. So, someone was asking about Bloodborne. Oh, sorry. Anyways, so that's my experience getting sort of into harder games, was Jedi Fallen Order. I've never played a FromSoft game up to that point. Jedi Fallen Order is not a FromSoft game. Let me keep telling the story. So it's like, this was so fun. This, people said, was reminiscent of Souls games. Good morning, feed. Good to see you in the chat. So I upped the difficulty, and I played it on the second hardest difficulty. And I never, ever do that. Okay? So then I tried Sekiro, and I got to Madame Butterfly, and I was sweating my frickin' face off, and then she came back to life. I got really angry, and I walked away from the game. Years later, I come back to FromSoft games with Dark Souls 3. Everybody told me, if you're going to play a Souls game, play Dark Souls 3, okay? I had tried Demon Souls, and I just didn't like it. I tried it a little bit. I got killed by the big giant guy, and I got irritated, and I put that one down as well. Dark Souls 3 is when we started doing From Fridays. We were sort of looking at Elden Ring and saying, this game's going to be really special. It's going to be highly anticipated. What if we sort of put Lono through almost like a boot camp, like a FromSoftware boot camp, get this guy ready for Elden Ring? So I played Dark Souls 3 to completion. I didn't like a handful of the fights. There were a couple things that irritated me. The final fight against, what's his name, Cinder. There were a couple things that irritated me. What's his scimitar form? And then there were input drops because the elevation of the ground got weird, and if you were stepping from one elevated position to another, sometimes it would just drop inputs and you wouldn't dodge or whatever, right? So there were a handful of things in Dark Souls 3 that irritated me, but largely I had a good time. Then I played Sekiro. It is my personal opinion that Sekiro has the single greatest combat system that I've ever experienced. Only close to matching it is just how much I love Ghost of Tsushima, okay? I think Sekiro is close to perfection. That's just what I think. I know, oh, you haven't played Bloodborne. I'm not going to play a 30 FPS game. So you guys in chat telling me to play, you're wasting your breath, okay? You're going to play Zelda. Yes, I'm going to play Zelda because I grew up with Zelda, and Zelda's on, a piece of 7-year-old hardware, and Zelda gets a pass. Zelda gets a pass. Just get over it, okay? I'm not going to play Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a game that requires timing and iframes and animation, reads and telegraph reads. I'm not doing that in a 30 FPS game. I don't have to do that in Zelda, okay? Ghostface with 9 months and it's a VIP. Welcome back in. Bloodborne at 60 FPS unfortunately would cause me to miss the streams for a couple of days. Yeah, you'd be playing, I know. Okay, so I played Sekiro. Now, I had a love-hate relationship with Sekiro up until I rolled credits. When I beat Ishin, something happened to me. I went through a transformation. It was spiritual. It was psychological. I'm not being hyperbolic. It was very meaningful to me at a time in my life where I was having to scrape, fight, and sweat and cry through pain, okay? I beat that game. The 5-hour Ishin fight did something to me. It's a special game to me. Sekiro's a top 5 game for me, and it always will be, okay? I almost quit. I was so upset and demoralized. I was like, man, I wish we would have just played Demon Souls, right? I was like, we shouldn't have played this game. And then I beat him, and I completely changed my mind, okay? Then I played Elden Ring. Elden Ring, the front half of Elden Ring, I believe, is open world perfection. The back half of Elden Ring is AoE spam fest, and I hate it, right? I love the front half of Elden Ring, and I hate the second half. That's my journey through FromSoftware games, okay? That's my journey. And when I look at Bloodborne, I really want to play it. I really want to play Lies of P. It looks very, similar to Bloodborne. Apparently, it looks more similar to Bloodborne in its aesthetic. In the actual combat, it's not, is what we've been told by the developers. We'll obviously have to wait for the verdict when it comes out. Everybody will weigh in. I'm sure there'll be disagreements, okay? So when I look at Bloodborne, I'm like, yeah, I would actually, enjoy playing that, but I can't play 30 FPS games, especially games with tight combat, games where I'm going to have to dodge, block, parry, whatever. I don't even know what the combat sets and the moves are in Bloodborne, okay? So when it comes to a Bloodborne remake, I would play it. I'd be very excited to play it, especially if it's at the quality of the Demon Souls remake. If they put the same guys on it, that would be incredible. What they did with the Demon Souls remake was, just short of remarkable. Very, very, very good. So 5 gifted members from UK Stobbs. You guys are just cracking off the generosity and the kindness. If you're just tuning in, I'll give you a bit of a recap. So there were remake and remaster rumors. So a Bloodborne remaster or a Bloodborne remake, whatever you want to call it, the rumors surfaced again this week. And up to now, I've always dismissed them. I have never done a live show about Bloodborne. We checked, just in case, because sometimes I forget shows, okay? I've been doing live shows for 8 years, so sometimes you forget things that you've covered. And then, and in the last, almost 2 years, I've done nothing but variety. Okay, so I typically dismiss these things. I'm like, come on, it's just somebody click farming on Twitter. It's a liar. It's just somebody goofing. It's somebody on 4chan, okay? So, this was different. Jaffe the Incompletionist is in chat. I don't think that that's Jaffe. That's just somebody maybe who likes Jaffe. David Jaffe responded in passing to somebody's question about Bloodborne, and he said, we know it's being built. We're going to hear about it sooner than later. Well, the gaming press ran with this as David Jaffe says there's a Bloodborne remaster remake being made, and we're going to hear about it at the Sony, PlayStation Showcase. And he's like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that it was going to be at the PlayStation Showcase. So Jaffe takes to Twitter with a 4-minute video being like, I don't know what you guys are doing. This was just a passing remark. He's like, I don't leak things. He apparently knew that Insomniac was building Wolverine, and he didn't leak it. He's like, that's disrespectful to the teams. In his mind, this was not a leak. This is common knowledge at this point. And he said that a reporter who is never wrong, she's never missed before, a reporter sent him or told him that the Bloodborne remaster remake was being made and that we would hear an announcement sooner than later. And he's like, she's never wrong, right? She's never wrong. What is this? Tomorrow, Ninja has been contacted by someone who talks to all the studios to see if they want to join either Xbox Studios or ZeniMax. Oh, I'll have to look at that later. UK Stobbs just hit 23 months of membership, and it's a VIP. Thank you so much, UK Stobbs. Welcome back in. So, I didn't give a flying rip about this, honestly, until Jaffe's response. Because at first I thought, Jaffe's not saying anything that a lot of us haven't already assumed. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, come on. Like, come on, dude. Like, I'm not saying come on, dude, to him. I was kind of saying come on, dude, to the gaming press. He didn't say anything that's not already been assumed by virtually everybody with a brain. Like, of course they're building or making or sketching out plans or hiring somebody to do a Bloodborne remake or a remaster. How could you not at this point? The dadgum word Bloodborne trends on Twitter like every couple of weeks because somebody decides to, trick everybody. So that's sort of the first section of my recap. Is like, that's what happened, and that's the only reason you're getting a live show about Bloodborne, because I was like, okay, this seems like something's about to happen. Which Jaffe? David? Yeah, David Jaffe. Now listen to me. It being included in the PlayStation Showcase honestly feels like it's going to happen. Right? If you have a TV with good motion handling, 30 FPS is fine. Not preferable, but definitely playable. I disagree. No. I disagree. I think in a game like this, 30 FPS is not playable. It affects animation timing, iframes, movement. No, I disagree. If once you're accustomed to 60 FPS, like, play Sekiro and then come play this and then come play Bloodborne. I don't agree with that, right? Is it trustworthy because of Jaffe or the journo? It's kind of both for me, Cujo. Like, if you watch Jaffe's demeanor in the tweet, it's like he's just kind of annoyed. The bottom... Oh, I'll have to fix that later. He's like annoyed. He's like, I wasn't trying to say I have inside information. He's like, I don't have inside information. I was just saying something I heard from a reporter. And he's like, this reporter's never wrong. He's like, this reporter's never wrong. So the way that he talked about it, the way that he responded, and then when we found out where the information came from, I was like, okay, I'll take that. Sekiro's 30 FPS on consoles. Not on my console, it's not. I played Sekiro on my PS5. It's not 30 FPS on my console, all right? So I'm not going to sit here and say, this is not what I'm saying. Jaffe's not some, like, known insider. He even said, like, that's not what he's trying to claim. He's not like, oh, yeah, I'm an insider. I got insider info. He's like, I don't do that. When he knew that Insomniac was working on Wolverine, he didn't leak that. And he could have. He could have been cheeky. And he didn't. He didn't talk about it. Soldier on Music with a $5 super chat tip. Bloodborne needs 60 plus FPS to be on PC. It is second only to Dark Souls 1 for me. Ashen says, I get eye strain from playing Bloodborne now, and I hate it, but that's what happened after playing through Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, Elden Ring, and similar games. Game is still beautiful, but Lono has a point. Thank you. Ashen, being a huge FromSoft fan, agreeing with me. He could have left Wolverine and boom, Insider Jaffe. Right. Lono confirmed to be my PlayStation guy. My PlayStation guy? What do you mean? Eugene says, he was just repeating what someone he trusts told him, and then Lance had to tweet some mean-spirited BS about Jaffe being pathetic, and he forced Jaffe to respond. Listen, I would even consider having Jaffe on the show, and here's why. I didn't appreciate when he talked about God of War Ragnarok being DLC, all right? Everybody who's going to talk about video games and live stream and make content, every once in a while, you're going to step in it, right? You're going to step in it. Well, he jumped in it, all right? I didn't like the way he talked about that, and instead of just walking it back, he tried to claim that all, sequels are DLC. Whatever. That was ludicrous. And the main reason I was frustrated with him is because all of the Xbox fans ran with it as Ragnarok is DLC. David Jaffe said it. And it's like, first and foremost, that's not what he was attempting to do. It was just being a little reckless with your verbiage, and then it led to a bunch of console tribalism. I don't think that was his intention. I don't think he was suddenly wanting to be like the anti-Sony Xbox champion of the world, okay? I don't think that's what he was trying to do. Now, I can overlook that and be like, I don't have any issues with the guy. He replied to one of my tweets back when all the Activision Blizzard stuff was going on, and I was getting a bunch of hate, and he replied, and he was rather nice to me. Right? And then I watched this video and I was like, man, y'all are going after this guy. He didn't do anything. All he did was say, hey, I heard this from a reporter. Right? Welcome back as a member, Soldier on Music. You the best. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I don't have an issue with the guy. When he said all this stuff about DLC, yeah, I criticized him for that, and I didn't appreciate it because the entire time that we, on our way to God of War Ragnarok coming out, I had to hear from those frickin' people every single day. And it's like, and they kept running back to Jaffe. Well, Jaffe said, and it's like, that's not even why he said it, okay? It's not why he said it. He wasn't trying to be your anti-PlayStation, God, okay? He just made a passing remark, and he says that he's glad to be out of the industry. Come on. There's got to be a little bit of twinge of FOMO, of like, man, I wish I was a part of Ragnarok. Ragnarok was shaping up to be amazing, and it was nominated for a bunch of awards. It'd be really hard not to look at the thing you gave birth to flying that high. Do you understand? Like, I think the DLC thing was just a human moment. That's all. I'll grant people human moments. I've had my own. But my frustration with it was more how Xbox fans ran with it, more than the fact that he said it. Orthisis with the $5 super chat tip. Bloodborne is my favorite of the FromSoft games, but I can't play it anymore because of the frame rate. So, for now, Elden Ring is on top. What did Vithar say? James Tiberius Kirk says... that would rock. What did James Tiberius Kirk say? Imagine Bloodborne 2 being set in a world as big as Elden Ring. Woo-wee. Here, I'll tell you this. I don't know if they should do open world again, though. I don't know. I don't know if their formula, I don't know if you want to keep doing that. I think they kind of have to have a return to roots moment. The condensed, doesn't have to be gothic, but the condensed, lots of capital out of, dense environments and almost like it's almost as if the environment's part of the enemy. It is an enemy in and of itself, right? It's winding and shortcuts and everything else. Their level design is at some level. Their level design is to some degree its own boss, right? I don't know if they should go open world again. I think they did an amazing job with Elden Ring. I think it's the best open world experience that I have ever had. Prior to that, my favorite open world experience was Breath of the Wild. And then Elden Ring came in and said, yeah, hold my beer. It is, I think, the best open world game that I have ever played. So, but I don't necessarily know if you want to do that again, another area. Now, you could open it up and let it breathe, but I still think you'd want to have more of a return to roots. FromSoft fans would likely agree with some of what I'm saying. I think you can have a dash of open world, but not an entire open world game again. Now, James Tiberius Kirk was saying, well, what if it was the same size, right? That size, I could get behind. I could. A Bloodborne game sequel in an open world similar to Elden Ring, I mean, that would be great, TBH. A world filled with cosmic eldritch horror. Soldier says, no way, open world is a problem. I actually think the same thing hurts Survivor. Kobo isn't that great in my opinion. Bloodborne level design is the best. Bloodborne was my first From game during the sickie. I'm upset I didn't get into FromSoftware sooner. I've not played Dark Souls 1 and 2. I played Demon Souls, and I've not played Bloodborne. Out of Demon Souls, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and Elden Ring, those are the 4 I've played. I love Sekiro. I really do. Wheezy says, I don't think you'd see a follow-up to Bloodborne from FromSoft, at least. I think that at some level might be true, Wheezy, which is why I was curious about that Miyazaki thing. Like, Miyazaki wants to work on an abstract RPG. And that 4chan rumor, I dismissed that when I saw that. I was like, this sounds stupid. And then I looked at that 4chan rumor again, and I thought, well, wait a minute. What if this is true? What if Miyazaki is working on some spell-based game that's the spiritual successor to Bloodborne? Now, that would line up if you think about it. Like, Elden Ring is sort of the spiritual sequel to Dark Souls 3 in some respects, right? People are like, why did they just call it Dark Souls 4? And it was like, well, because they made so many significant changes, it needed to be its own game. It needed to kind of stand apart. I could see something very similar with Bloodborne. Like, well, we don't want to do a Bloodborne 2, but we want to do a game that is essentially its spiritual sequel or its spiritual successor. Again, it's 4chan, so I didn't want to focus too much on that. I just said, this is interesting. I'm not saying that it's worth really locking onto and saying, oh, this is going to happen. But I was like, this is pretty interesting. This 4chan rumor might be talking about something real. I don't know. Now, the Jaffe stuff, the remake, remaster stuff, this reporter that said this, I think that's far more interesting, far more likely to be around the corner. I just don't know if they would want to have these paired together. A Bloodborne remake and Bloodborne 2. I just don't know if you'd want to have them jammed together. You don't have half the environmental interactivity in Elden Ring that you have in Breath of the Wild, which is essentially a Wii U game. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. It sounds like you were saying Elden Ring's not as good as Breath of the Wild, and then you're saying it's a Wii U game. I'm kind of confused. James Tiberius Kirk with a $10 super chat tip says, yes, Bloodborne 2 being set in a world the size of Elden Ring. That and your boss fights are a new plethora of old ones, eldritch horrors. Dungeons are nightmare areas. Mic drop. Guys, if you're just tuning in, make sure you're smashing the like button. We are discussing the latest Bloodborne leaks and rumors. 23 more likes would be amazing. Essentially what I argued was, and I wonder what you guys think about the crux of my argument. Do you think Sony should say something? Because I think that they should. You own the property, and now you've got this stupid expectation that Bloodborne is going to be a part of the PlayStation Showcase. I think you should say something. Now, it would be really out of character for them, but this is just my own personal belief. is, listen, there is no Bloodborne in active development. Like, if there's no remake, if there's no remaster, if there's no sequel, if nothing on the horizon, then I think you just say that. I don't think you want a bunch of people looking at the showcase thinking, Bloodborne's going to be there. Do you want to know what headline we're going to see in the wake of the showcase if Bloodborne isn't there? Another Sony showcase without Bloodborne. Another time where we don't get a Bloodborne announcement. You might as well have that be the headline now so that that's not attached to your showcase when it happens. In the wake of that showcase, all you want people talking about is all the stuff that you announce. All of the stuff that you showcase. Your trailers, your release dates, your surprises. Yes, defo, definitely. I like the... Oh, thank you, Sam Mudd, for 9 months of membership. Any hope for Bloodborne on Xbox? I can dream. I mean, listen, if you're an Xbox owner right now, dreaming's all you got, baby. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I'm sorry, but it's true. It's true. Nobody with a $10 super chat tip. I loved Bloodborne, but these leaks are getting old and destroy my hope every time. That I kind of talked about that. Thank you for the $10 super chat tip. I essentially said, listen, there are people that would push back on what I'm saying. And they're like, no, this is free marketing. Every time this happens, you get a bunch of people talking about your property. And I agree with that to a point. I do. I agree with that to a point. It's like, yeah, sure, let the internet be the internet, okay? You can't squash every rumor, every leak. You can't do that. You can't do that. However, I think you get to a threshold of, this is getting freaking old. Can you guys just say something? Like, this is just getting annoying now. Like, I have avoided, I think there's been 6 times since we've been doing this show in this way. There's been 6 times that this has happened, and I've been like, don't want to cover it. Nope, there's nothing there. That's just some idiot on Twitter. The Frog Boy's about to issue another warrant for you. Let him. What in the world? I've never interacted with anything quite like that. Lono, but what if Sony keeps this as their ace in the pocket? Because you know that anything related to Bloodborne, a remake, remaster, port, sequel, Funko Pop, whatever, they will make money loads. Well, track with me, Vaughn. Track with me. It's like one of those. What are those things called? It's like what's the? I'm blanking on it. It's like the grid where they're like, are you stupid? Yes. Go back to start. Are you smart? Yes. Go over here. Like, what are those called? I don't understand. I can't frickin' remember what those are called. Who's Frog Boy? Just some guy on Twitter that was insulting me, and I told him that I thought he was inviting me to come on like a podcast or something. And he was insulting me and insulting the audience and insulting my integrity. A flowchart, thank you. And I just told him, like, this is not the way to get an invite, to like an interview. He's like, I'm not inviting you to a podcast or an interview. And I'm like, so you're literally just doing this because you like swore out a warrant on me or something for slandering Xbox? It's not worth talking about any more than we already have. It's just a crazy person on Twitter. Anyway. A flowchart. Okay, back to what Von Raz is saying. It's like a flowchart, Von. This is how I think about it. Answer yes or no. Answer yes or no. Are you making a Bloodborne remaster or remake? Yes? Great. Then you don't have to say anything. You don't. We'll just hear about it when we hear about it. Like, let's imagine it's a part of the PlayStation Showcase. They don't need to say anything. Okay? They don't need to say anything. If the answer to the question, are you currently working on a Bloodborne remaster or remake? If the answer to that question is no, then I think they should say something. Do you understand the logic I'm applying? It's like, listen, if you're working on it, then tell us about it in the right time. Showcase, a state of play, who cares, right? I would imagine if it is being made, they're saving it for this showcase because you would want to have main stage showcase. This thing would be tectonic. The internet would rattle when they announced like Bloodborne. Like, I don't know how this game did this. I really don't. I don't know how this game, one game in the FromSoftware catalog, just has this kind of pull, but it does. So I'm fine with them saying nothing until the showcase or until they want to land it. But if the answer to the question is no, we are not actively working on a remaster or a remake, dude, then just frickin' tell us so that nobody anticipates it being at the showcase. Chrono Odyssey looks sick. Chrono Odyssey looks like New World, Dark Souls, and Monster Hunter had a baby, but it's a Korean MMO, so just be cautious of how they monetize it. Yo, what's good, Lion? Good to see you. Calling it now. We get some sort of Bloodborne news from Sony after Starfield. It's because prior to Elden Ring, Bloodborne was the most accessible game, says Eugene. Okay. Hey, nice turnout today, guys. Smash that like button, man. Keep it going. Let's set our sights on 400. Thanks so much. We're already well on our way on the member goal. Coffee orders haven't happened yet, but thank you to everybody. There was a couple of ones that came in this morning. How do 3 games have a baby? That doesn't even make sense. Zubair, I'll tell you when you're older how 3 people can make a baby. It's, it's a little bit above your pay grade. Rob V coming in with 8 months of membership, and it's a VIP PS5 Pro launch game. I don't... Maybe. I was considering all of the possibilities. That you froze me up there. You totally froze me up. I was like, let me think about that for a second. Because, yeah, if they're working on it, and if the PS5 Pro rumors are true and it's coming out late next year, yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. Wouldn't be too bad. Let's see what everybody's saying here. Somebody responded to what I was saying. Von Rez says, Lono, why would they? Any news about Bloodborne will shake giants. So this is a power play by Sony to keep power and control to some extent. I could definitely see this happening. I feel like we're misunderstanding each other. Vaughn, if they are making it, they would say nothing until the announcement to maximize impact. If they're not, it'd be good to say it's not in active development right now, because if not, everybody's going to tune into the showcase expecting to see it. Do you understand? Like, I'm only saying they should say something if, in fact, it's not in current active development. Yo, good morning, Abe. A $5 tip from James Wolfgang. Clearly, Sony loved your Elden Ring playthrough and adopted the wait until mentality for Bloodborne announcements. I love that wait until is got so many meanings now. Wait until. And it also is, it's how we take digs at the Xbox guys. It's wonderful. Wheezy says, Monster Hunter 6 will be an experience for me. Monster Hunter World was the game I dreamed about the franchise going to. Monster Hunter 6, I can't even envision it. Oh, I see. I get that. Yeah, Vaughn, I think we're in agreement. I only think that they should say something if it's not in current active development, just to shut everybody up. A $5 super chat tip from James Tiberius Kirk. Bloodborne remake announcement reaction equals human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Yes. Bloodborne was nowhere as approachable as Elden Ring, says Graydon. There were other AA titles that were far easier to get into the genre with. Well, I think he's saying within the FromSoftware catalog, that's one of the reasons it ended up being so popular, right? If that dude on Brap last night is credible, says Eugene, there's 2 unannounced titles coming this year. Well, the guy on Brap is not the first person I've heard say that, Eugene. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying they're hearing rumblings of unannounced games being at the showcase. Like, it's not just going to be, hey, we already told you about Spider-Man. Hey, we already told you about Wolverine. Hey, you already know about Final Fantasy 16. Like, that's not how you usher in Phase 2. Like, Phase 2 of PlayStation 5 is very much springboarding off of Spider-Man 2, but I don't think that's what comprises the PlayStation Showcase. Number one, it's been super long. It's been super long since they've made any major announcements. So PlayStation's got to get up to the plate and crack that ball over the wall. They just have to. I think they can. But people are going to be really annoyed if it's just a bunch of stuff that we already knew about. Factions, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, Final Fantasy 16. If that's a majority of the showcase, people are going to be irritated. And rightfully so. They're like, we already know about all this. I don't think that's what the showcase is going to be, by the way. I think this showcase is going to be... It's going to be hard. And I mean in the good way. They confirmed 2 unannounced titles last year, and then they never had their showcase to tell us. Oh, that's right. Wasn't that in an interview about something that they had 2 games that were not announced, and then they just didn't do the showcase? Eugene says, no one said Bloodborne was as accessible as Elden Ring. I said prior to Elden Ring, it was the most accessible. SOCOM? Yeah, Creature just keeps pulling for SOCOM. He's like, when they finally announced SOCOM, he's like, I'm going to dance on everybody. Because he's been screaming about SOCOM. The 2 unannounced new games are going to be live service ones. That's what I thought, UK Stobbs. Wasn't the interview about the live service games where they said there's 2 unannounced games? We need to get confirmation on that. I'm not sure how exactly it was phrased. I don't think anybody would be annoyed to finally see Factions. I didn't say that people would be annoyed. It's that if that's all we get is stuff that we already know about, I think people would be annoyed. I'll retire to the couch when Transformers and SOCOM are both launched, says Creature. You heard him, guys. I'm gonna have to hire a new person. Reforge brother, what's good, man? The only reason that I hope we don't get SOCOM. It would bring Creature too much joy. We ain't gotta be some hater. And Resistance. Yeah, people are pulling for Resistance and SOCOM both. I wonder if these live service games coming out for Sony will have microtransactions. My favorite thing yesterday, Jake, is apparently I don't cover the microtransactions that Sony does. Apparently, because I didn't cover Gran Turismo 7. Newsflash. I don't cover racing games. Secondly, I was told that I guess I don't talk about like whatever Destiny's doing because I don't cover Destiny, and then all the live service games from Sony that aren't out yet. I was like, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, and on the heels of the Starfield ESRB hinting that there might be microtransactions, we already have people out here trying to pull up old videos and old info about like how much Starfield's been upgraded. It's like, what are you guys doing? You guys are really, really quickly trying to brush this thing under the rug. It's like, why? Feels really similar to what happened a couple of weeks ago with Redfall. But that's a whole nother story, and that's a whole nother stream. If there's a world where it's only normal state of play... Oh, is there a world where it's only a normal state of play? No. No, that's simply not possible. Sony has been silent for far too long. If they just did a normal state of play, absolutely not. James Tiberius Kirk with a $5 super chat tip. Post PlayStation Showcase announcement equals downloadable demo of the Bloodborne remake. My brain said it, so it must be true. I mean... I actually think they're going to have some announcements like that. I don't know if you would do it with the Bloodborne remake demo. Have they ever done that before? Given people a demo of a remake? I don't know if they've ever done that before. That feels like a break. That feels like a break in behavior. But I actually think the PlayStation Showcase is going to have some sort of an announcement like that. And you can play it today. And it comes out next week. Like, I think there's going to be something like that. I don't know if they're going to do like the Shadow Drop, like Hi-Fi, but I think they're going to do something along those lines. Sony just doesn't have the incentive. Have the incentive to do what? Is completely, Jaffe, I completely agree. Sony doesn't have the incentive to do what? Say something? Or, like, I'm not sure which thing you're saying. Eugene says, everyone's first Souls game is the hardest for them. It doesn't make the game the hardest of them. They did it with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, RE4 Remake demo. Oh, you guys are right. There is a pattern of them letting you play remake demos. No, okay, that's a good point. Sorry. That's why sometimes I ask. I'm like, Have they done that before? Because sometimes I don't know. We definitely do have to be a hater in that way. Showcase? Wait. That you think they don't have the incentive to do the showcase? I'm confused. There's going to be a huge showcase. It would be absolutely insane if there wasn't one. Yeah, they could do a factions beta maybe too. Yeah. Good morning, Zinthos. Good morning, Mike on the mic. How are you? Guys, make sure as you're coming in, make sure you're smashing the like button. Thanks for the strong turnout today. Yeah. Oh, about releasing the live service game soon? Oh, I don't necessarily think they need to release the live service game soon, but they have a really tight schedule. They did an interview about those live service games. I think we're going to start to see more of them coming out, and I think they're going to be smaller. From the way that they talked about it, right? From the way that they talked about it, they're seemingly going to do very different formats for these games. It's not going to be like traditional live service games that you're accustomed to. On the subject of Bloodborne, I don't think they would use Bloodborne as one of the live service games. I think the Bloodborne remaster or remake would be a good precursor to the sequel, though. A lot of people think that. They think that they're going to package the Bloodborne remake or the Bloodborne remaster, whatever you want to call it. They think they're going to package that together with Bloodborne 2. I don't know about that. I could definitely see the wisdom in that. You know, get everybody crazy excited. You would win a bunch of fans, kind of like you kicked God of War 2018 to PC. You get a bunch of new fans to God of War, and then when Ragnarok lands on PS5, there's all these people that are like, oh my gosh, I got to get myself a PS5. I need to be able to play the sequel. Like, you could do that with Bloodborne as well. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I could just see the wisdom in that from a marketing standpoint to say you announce and drop the Bloodborne remake and get everybody excited, get a bunch of new fans. They buy it on their PS5s. You know, PS5 saturation's about to have a huge moment. You buy it on PC and you make you have all these amazing fans, and then like a year later the sequel comes out. That would be massive. That would be absolutely massive. We raise our kids well. Huge bouquet of flowers showed up for the wife, and they live halfway around the world. Hey, yeah, guys. Hey. Wake up. Stop typing that email. I need your attention. Mother's Day is Sunday. Okay. Now you're nervous and you're scared. It's okay. It's okay. Grocery stores have flowers. Get something. Right? Okay. That's your PSA. That's not the consensus I've found at all. Oh, he says, I think you'll find the consensus of the audience as it goes back and forth between Bloodborne and Sekiro for the most difficult. What? I've never been told that, Graydon. When I asked which game should I play first, it was a tie between Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne as the most accessible, most approachable. Mother's Day? When's Lono's Day? Yeah, I don't know when's Lono. I don't know. When is Lono's Day? Abe says not for Hispanics. Mother's Day was the 10th. I did my part. Good boy. Bloodborne was a lot of people's first game. Of course, they think it's the most difficult. Take care of the moms in your life this weekend. That's right. Sekiro is far harder. I don't know how anybody could argue that something is harder, that Bloodborne's harder than Sekiro. I mean, I've not played Bloodborne, so I'm not speaking from experience with Bloodborne, but I've watched Bloodborne gameplay, I've played Sekiro, and I've listened to people talk about Bloodborne. It's like, I don't think I've had anybody tell me or argue that Bloodborne is the hardest. Is Bloodborne gameplay up there with Sekiro? I've never heard anybody say that. The boss rush in Sekiro is the hardest thing you can do in a Souls game, says Krinab. Sekiro's harder, agreed. Every day is Lono's Day. That's right, UK Stobbs. Bloodborne is the most difficult in some aspects, says Daxter. Sekiro's about nailing down the parries. People may be factoring in the old Hunters. That DLC was brutal, says Ashen. Yeah, is there some kind of extra endgame DLC thing that y'all are talking about? Like, I don't genuinely know. Because I've not played it myself. The DLC bosses in Bloodborne. Sekiro is the hardest. Code Vein is the best. Sekiro is a different thing. Boy, oh boy, the chat's heating up. TV Day was Lono's day. That's the day that Eugene convinced us he could argue night and day without breaking character once. That's right. Oh yeah, argue night is day without breaking character. That's exactly right. Could we get 50 more likes on the video? If you guys are enjoying the content, that's a free way to make sure that this video does well. It'll find more people on YouTube when you do that. Consider becoming a member. We've already had a bunch of people gift members today. A membership only costs $5, and I do a members debrief every day, and you can be a part of that. I do Friday night streams with my wife just for members. It's a blast. You don't want to miss it, okay? It's all subjective in my opinion. Dark Souls 2 is the hardest. I've consistently heard that Dark Souls 2 is the hardest, but I've also heard it's because it's like the cheapest. It's got really cheap nonsense in it. That's what I've heard. I've not played it, but from the people that I've spoken to, the FromSoft fans are like, no, dude, Dark Souls 2 is the hardest. There's just a bunch of cheap nonsense in that game. And I'm like, okay, I'll never play it. Try to defeat Amygdala at the endgame Chalice dungeon with 50% of your health, then we talk, says Daxter. See, here's the problem. Here's the problem, Daxter. How do we define which one is the hardest? Is it because of one boss or one particular thing or one DLC? Or is it the whole game? Like, beginning to end, Sekiro is like, F you. Is like, get up on the stage and get it done or you're dead. Like, it doesn't let you over level. It doesn't let you, like, try out a different build or weapon other than, like, the shinobi arts. I don't know that about Bloodborne. Is Bloodborne that way the whole game? Like, if you can go to a single fight in Bloodborne and be like, this is the single hardest fight in Souls games, well okay. Yo, it's good, Ariel. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you've got to substantiate your position with more than, oh, there's this one really, really hard fight. Base game, dude, Chalice doesn't count, says Raphael. So the base game of Bloodborne against the base game of Sekiro, which is harder? That's what I love about Sekiro. It's all skill. I think Orphan of Kos is harder than Ishin by far. Hey, DK Bager, I love this guy. Always willing to come in and just poke. He just pokes at that member goal, moves it to 32 out of 50, and it goes to Brian. Thank you so much for doing that, DK. Well, then Elden Ring is the most difficult because of Melania. I had a buddy that beat all the Souls games, and Madame Butterfly made him quit Sekiro. Oh, Sekiro. Frickin' Madame Butterfly. That's what I quit. The first time I quit Sekiro was her. Sekiro by a country mile. Sekiro by far. Orphan of Kos is Bloodborne's Ishin. I always called him Ishin, and people are like, it's Ishin. I think the hardest thing of Bloodborne is managing your health, potions, and bullets. Sekiro is much harder than Bloodborne, says James. Sekiro over Dark Souls 2 DLC, over Dark Souls 2, over Demons, over Dark Souls 1, over Bloodborne, over Elden Ring. Really? The butterfly? Yeah, she made me quit. Because you have to understand, the first time I played Sekiro, I had never played a Souls game before, and I finally beat her, and then she came back to life, and I was like, okay. You can frick all the way off. Then, funny enough, she was my click moment. The second time I played the game, someone in chat said, hit her until she deflects. And it was like Neo seeing the Matrix. I was like, I suddenly saw the game. It was like I saw it for the first time. Do you know what I mean? Saw the game for the first time with new eyes. And people in chat were trying to explain it to me. They were trying to explain it to me, and I wasn't getting it. And finally somebody was like, bro, just hit her until she deflects. And it was like, oh. I was like, cling, cling, cling. And I saw it. I was like, boom. And I deflected her back. Bro, I was like, I get it now. I get this game now. And I was good. I was good all the way until Ishin, and I almost quit. Like, I made light work of Genichiro. I made light work of some of the bosses. People were like, when I beat Genichiro, someone's like, you did that on hard mode. They're like, you didn't do any of the shinobi arts. You just blade to blade beat that guy. I beat him in under an hour, I think. Most bosses in Sekiro I beat in under an hour. Ishin took me 5 hours. It was rough. It was so good, though. Such a good moment. I love those moments where it clicks for Lono. You can see the very second when it all makes sense. It's great from a viewer's point of view, says Abe. At one point, I thought Dark Eater Medir was the hardest, but Orphan of Kos definitely takes the cake for me, says Wheezy. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about Bloodborne leaks. There's obviously the Bloodborne remaster, Bloodborne remake. There's those rumors out there. There's also rumors about a Bloodborne 2. We looked at what David Jaffe said. He apparently spoke with a reporter that said it's going to be announced sooner than later. He said that this woman is never wrong or has never been wrong. And I think what Jaffe said and the Bloodborne remake, that stuff, I think is more reliable than the Bloodborne 2 stuff. And so people in chat are debating hardest boss, hardest game, as we always do when we discuss FromSoftware games. We get into passionate debates about all of them. So if you're enjoying the show, set your sights on 400 likes. If you're sitting there lurking, take a second and hit that thumbs up. Minimize chat, hit that thumbs up. If you guys are watching over there on Kick, thank you to the 13 people watching. Consider becoming a subscriber over there. You get a badge, you get emotes. It supports me. I get a bigger cut over there. We never want you to, move your membership from YouTube to Kick, because I don't do any members incentives over there. It's just a great way for you to support what I do. Bloodborne 2 is coming. Woman has never been wrong. He gets it. Yeah. Sounds like a good married man. That's right. I love that Bloodborne rewards you for fighting aggressively smart. Very aggressive and visceral combat. Yeah. 7 months from Dexter Deflexer says, in my opinion, Sekiro is the hardest because you actually have to learn how to fight a boss. You can't really react to the boss actions like other Souls games. Did you ever play Ninja Gaiden? Gaiden? How do you say that? Is it Gaiden? I always want to say Gaiden, right? Is it Gaiden? Anyway, did you ever play Ninja Gaiden Black from the OG Xbox? No, I did not, Paul. I'd love for Sony to help FromSoftware produce a Souls game with Horizon-level graphics and FromSoftware gameplay. Track with me, Lion. Imagine this. Imagine using the engine that they use for Horizon. Imagine that like a Souls game. Jiminy Christmas. Slickness just spelled Gaiden with a space. That doesn't tell me how to phonetically. Gaiden. People are putting Gaiden and Gaiden. Well, a gay den is something else, isn't it? And I'm sorry. That was too easy. Decima engine is totally different. Oh, I know it's totally different. The Decima engine is different, but it would be awesome. I don't know. A FromSoftware style Souls game in the Decima engine would be sick. If they can get the combat to be tight, right? You'd need the iframes and the dodging and everything to feel really tight. Because the melee combat in Horizon, it's nothing to really write home about. It's satisfying, but I don't know if it would necessarily work. Everybody's saying Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden. I'm offended. That was bad. Are you offended because the joke was bad, or are you offended because it was a gay joke? I need to know where you're landing on this, because if you're offended that it's a bad joke, you're in for a really hard time, because I make lots of bad jokes. If you're offended that I made a gay joke, well, you just have to get over it, I guess. It was pretty harmless. Hey, Lono, great stream. I don't know if this is asked, but are you going to be playing Tears of the Kingdom? Yes. Tomorrow will be a Zelda day. We're going to kick off the day with the review roundup, and then I'm going to play the game, because, my gosh. But don't cannibalize my show talking about it. We're not talking about that. Lono, please read. Derek, what the F? I don't see what you're saying, dude. I don't see it. Did you get auto-modded? I genuinely don't. The G is a J sound. Ninja Jaden. No, it's not, is it? Ninja Jaden? Come on. That's not true. Lono has an Asian friend. He can make gay jokes. That's not how that works. Fuzzy says that's what I call my apartment. Oh, man. Some of the gay guys that hang out here they can enter into the joke landscape pretty well. That wasn't too bad, Fuzzy. That was pretty good. It was a great joke. Thank you. Until you meet Ugdo Bogdo, his son in Jedi Survivor. Oh, I've heard that the frog in Survivor is tilting people. I have. You made me scroll back up for Ninja Jaden. Ninja Jaden. And like Jaden's just some kid from a 90s sitcom, you know? I do what I want. Jaden is such like a 90s name, isn't it? Jaden and Corey, and those are like 90s TV show names, you know? Tyler. These are, you know what's funny? These are the names of like streamers I'm thinking of. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they were all named after 90s sitcoms. Anyway. Have a great day, peeps. Time for sleep. Australia. Aussie. Good night. Oh, man. Ninja J. Leno. I like having more weapon diversity like Bloodborne rather than just parry, jump, and dodge like Sekiro. I mean, I felt like you had a lot of things you could do in Sekiro, but I think I might agree with you, because the shinobi arts and the currency debt that you can incur in Sekiro always kind of turned me off. Do you know what I'm saying? I wanted a fresh reset every time. That's why I didn't use the shinobi arts that much, because it was like, well, I'm gonna get into a currency debt situation, and I don't want to do that. Lona, when you get to the end of Burning Shores, just imagine a From boss being at that scale, and then you'll want From to have a newer engine. I know. It's so hard right now, Eugene. Like, I'm waiting for the Survivor patch, because I want to play Survivor more than Burning Shores. But I got all my stuff fully leveled up in Burning Shores. I have all purple gear fully leveled up. I have a Tripcaster now I need to level up. I think my character's over level 50. So I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to go and try out the Burning Shores DLC now. I'm more of a Shinobi fan. I wish you could get a remake of Shinobi 3. Do you think From Friday will come back with the Elden Ring DLC? Probably not, Hilly. I don't know. I mean, it depends. Elden Ring is very, very popular, and I know people liked watching me play. I just think the challenge would be, once a week. Once a week, it's just hard to play a game like that. Capcom confirms record number of game sales as share price hits all-time high. The next Capcom fiscal year will have Street Fighter 6, potentially Monster Hunter 6, and potentially Dragon's Dogma 2. Woo! Woo! Capcom's cooking. Capcom out here cooking. Imagine being called Tyler. I could never. Oh, come on. Jaden is a kid who plays card games with his friends on an island. Who said that, says Broken Lobo. I've been begging for a Shinobi 3 remake. Solemn says, by the way, I put away to cheese the frog and Survivor in the Discord for those that don't care about such things. Oh, I don't want to cheese the fight. Heck no. I just miss Lono yelling, disagree. Disagree. Yeah. I mean, I like playing FromSoft games with you guys. I do. I'm in a very different place now as well. I am. We get 15 more likes on the video. I'm in a really different place now. Like, mentally, I wonder what my resolve would be like now. You know what I mean? if would I feel more patient? Would I be able to, to endure the frustration, the hardship, the irritation? I do feel like I'm in a very different place now. Back when I was playing those games, I was in a dark spot, coming out of a dark spot, I should say. So sometimes it was hard to keep perspective and to not, to keep perspective and to not just get super irritated. Hey Lono, it's Dolphin from Discord. Would ask you about the lunch cam. Oh yeah, I haven't been around much due to life stuff. I do watch and lurk at times. I just want to say, love the growth you've had. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Dolphin. I appreciate that. Or Tank, I guess. You beat 3 of their games now. You'd be fine, says Eugene. You would still complain about unmitigated damage. Yeah, unmitigable damage is so tilting. Unmitigatable damage, that's right. You could be a Shaolin monk. FromSoft tilts us all. That's true. The frustration is what makes the victory feel so good. I'm not saying that I wouldn't get frustrated. I'm just saying I don't know how far the game would push me. Would it push me as far as it used to? I feel like the last time I played Elden Ring and I did the no summons run, the second stream of that no summons run was a disaster. I got so angry. I don't know what happened that day. Something snapped in me. After that, I committed. I addressed it. I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ruin this playlist if I do that, right? And I committed to saying chill. And it made me play better. I was learning. I was playing, I was playing really, really well in the no summons run. Like, I remember beating, not Margot. I remember beating Margot like my 7th try, and people kept insisting that I couldn't play him that way. They were like, you can't play him this way. You cannot play him this way. And then I just whooped him on my 7th run. And I was like, tell me I can't play this way, please. But when I got to the fire giant, I was just reminded, I was like, I am going to hate the second half of this because I can't summon. I can't like, cheese my way out of a frustrating fight, and it wasn't going well, as far as viewership goes. It was hard to justify. So last week in Japan, the PlayStation 5 sold 99,000 units. PlayStation 4 sold 2,000. The Xbox Series family sold 1,000 units. Woo! That hurts. Oh, that's 2 weeks ago. Sekiro is more precise. Replaying it is more enjoyable to me because I demolished absolutely everything. I have actually wanted to replay Sekiro. I really want to play a Bloodborne remaster. I do. I really want to play a Bloodborne remake because I know people rave about it. I'm really excited about playing Lies of P. I like playing those games. It's just hard because, we're not really a gameplay channel, and if the viewership's not there, I can't justify getting angry and getting frustrated, I Scarlet Rotted Fire Giant 2nd phase. Oh, yeah, just Scarlet Rot that nasty foot up, and then he's done. I could see that. Summoning cheapens the whole experience. I was enjoying Elden Ring significantly more on my 2nd playthrough because I was just doing a no summons run. I was enjoying it significantly more. It just felt so good. My favorite thing about my no summons run was I was using guard counter. I was sword and shield, guard counter, and square off. Bro, nobody's posture bar could survive. I was busting everybody's posture bar. I was loving it. I would come up with my own rhythm and my own approach to the fight. My favorite were those big tree guys because they don't look like you could break their posture because they're just so big. And breaking their posture was so satisfying. Just that sound, that gling. And you go around, stab them in the eye. I loved it. I would love to see Lono play Bloodborne. Not sure why 30 FPS is too much, but it's okay for Zelda. Because they're completely different games, bro. It's like saying why is 30 FPS okay in Zelda but not okay in a first-person shooter? They're completely different. The combat's not the same at all. The combat in Zelda is far more arcadish. It can be challenging, but it's far more arcadish and simplistic. Now, there's so many layers to what you can do in Tears of the Kingdom. We'll get into that tomorrow when I play it for sure. But when I'm playing Zelda, I don't need this tight, quick, iframe response to an enemy the size of a Volkswagen bus. You know what I'm saying? It's not life and death. It's not incredibly grueling, frustrating, difficult. It's The Legend of Zelda. Do you understand? Like, it's just entirely different. Now, I will 100% admit, I would pay double the price for a 60 FPS version of Zelda. You can play it on PC if you download this thing. And shh. I don't want to do that. So yeah, I would play Zelda at 60 FPS, no doubt. No doubt in my mind that I would. I would pay cash money for it. But I'm not going to go play Bloodborne. Bloodborne's not, a possible game of the year this year. Bloodborne isn't getting straight 10s out of 10s from every outlet across the space. Nintendo isn't a next-gen system. I don't expect Nintendo to have 60 FPS. Yeah, they didn't advertise it. It's a 7-year-old piece of hardware, and I can take it with me anywhere. Guys, quit edging. There we go. Thank you. Quit edging. I swear people do that. They see like $3.99 on the likes, and they're like, nope. Nope, not doing it. Oh, man. If you guys are just tuning in, we are going to discuss Zelda tomorrow. I will do a review roundup and then we will play it. I've even got an upload today about the Zelda and Game of the Year face-off that will likely be happening very, very soon. But today, this talk show is about Bloodborne. Now, I told that guy, I said, wait till you see some of the highlights where I knock my own glasses off. My hands are a part of the show. They're co-hosts. That's like the third time I've done that. Lono wearing a nightie? A nightie? I'm wearing a t-shirt. What do you mean? What? It's like an all-over print comic book t-shirt? What the frick? Okay, so one of the things that came out of all of these Bloodborne leaks, all right, is that the Bloodborne Remake and Bloodborne II are coming packaged together. And that it will be at the PlayStation Showcase. What do you think is the most likely? I think there's a handful of possibilities here. I think the most likely thing is a Bloodborne remaster, a Bloodborne remake, will be at the PlayStation Showcase. I think Bloodborne 2 is less likely to be there of all of the possibilities. There's a possibility that it won't be there at all. There's the possibility that it'll be there and it's just the Bloodborne remake. And then there's the possibility that it'll be all of it. It'll be the remake, it'll be Bloodborne 2. I think the least likely is that Bloodborne 2 is even talked about or whispered about. The material and the way it fits on you from this angle looks like a nightie. What the frick is a nightie? What is that? Breath of the Wild, technical. Oh, you guys still talking about that? Yeah. Don't go down the Zelda road. I know I started talking about it. I shouldn't have. Troll says remake. Bloodborne 2, I want. Bundle would make no sense in my opinion, says Paul. Oh, pajamas? Oh, you think it looks like I'm wearing pajamas? Okay. A nightgown? Yeah, I don't know. Best case scenario is that Sony says nothing and neither show up at the showcase. Why is that the best case scenario? Apparently, all you do is repeat yourself, so I guess you're mid as well. What? Oh. All do you do is go to the boss and try and kill it until you get it done and repeat? What? In Souls games, you just run to the boss and try to kill it 20 times. Okay. You said it 3 times. Nobody responded, so I'll humor you. Yeah, you just keep saying it. If you want people to validate your really reductionistic and stupid position, this isn't the place to get that. You're not going to get that here. Because F Sony. Oh, I always forget Vengeance is like hardcore Xbox. He's like, yeah, best case scenario. The best case scenario is there is no Bloodborne 2. There is no Bloodborne remaster. They make everybody uninstall the original Bloodborne, and that's what they announce at the showcase. That's best case scenario, because F Sony. Lono looks like Ebenezer Scrooge when he goes to sleep. No, I do not. It's just a t-shirt. Frick's sake. Is this dude confusing no-hit runs and speedrunners with casual players? It sounds to me like there are other ways to admit that you suck at FromSoft games, right? You just have to keep going back to the boss and dying over and over again. Listen, man, it's okay to admit you're bad at the games. That's the worst way to admit it, though. You're acting like it's the game's fault. Every game is that way. You continue to try to beat the level until you beat it. You continue to try to beat the racetrack time until you beat the racetrack time. Like, that's every game. Every game is you continue to try to beat the current obstacle until you beat it. That's literally the most reductionistic way to talk about video games. Yo, shiny red flag gifts 5 members to the community. You guys have been so generous with the gifteds. Puts us to 37. Getting really close to a double milestone day and hitting 50. Lona looking like the grandpa from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Shut the frick up. I am not wearing pajamas. If you're going to represent me, please do it accurately. I'm anti-Sony, and I haven't turned on my Xbox in like 6 months. I'm PC now. That's not better. Vengeance, that's not any better. Listen, I'm not an Xbox guy. I'm just anti-Sony. Oh. So it's not that you're a fan of something. You're against something. Got it. I died so much playing Ragnarok. I suck. But it was on Give Me No Mercy to my credit. I beat it, maybe. But did you win? That's right. Did you win the game? I don't find enjoyment in the Souls challenge. It's just a personal taste thing. Well, see, that's totally fine. It's totally fine to be like, I don't really play FromSoft games. If you don't get down with Bloodborne gameplay, that's totally fine. But being like, oh, all those games are is you just keep going back to the boss and fighting and repeating yourself. Because that's all you do in Souls games, and they are overhyped. Fine. Then don't play them. I like Sony games, F Souls games. Homie, it's not that serious. It just isn't. You don't have to dog on something just because you don't like it. Like, it just smacks of insecurity. All you gotta say is, yeah, FromSoftware games aren't really my thing. Oh no, please cover Street Fighter 6 next month. I want to hear your input on how Capcom plan to make the game appealing to casuals and new players. How in the frick am I going to do that? I don't cover fighting games. Elden Ring is inferior to God of War in all ways. Okay, fine. It got Game of the Year, so okay. Miyazaki is a genius, but sure, yeah. Whittle it down to a reductionistic, sweeping generalization. That's the fallacy of sweeping generalization, isn't it? Isn't that a fallacy? I can't remember all of them anymore. You just can't all you do is fight bosses and try again. Really. So the non-linear story pathing, the mysterious lore, the open world discovery, the depth of the map, the world design, the artistic direction, the soundtrack, none of that stuff counts for anything because part of the content loop is replaying bosses? Come on, man. You're not saying anything. You're speaking in platitudes. That's not communication. Some people have confused the idea of if I speak in generic general platitudes, we're having a conversation. No, we're not. Right? Like if I'm telling you about my favorite restaurant and I'm like, cheeseburgers are the superior food. You're like, okay, but how is the food at the restaurant? French fries, all the grease that gets the wheels turning in the restaurant business. What the frick are you saying? We're not having a conversation. The best way to eat food is sitting down. I'm not saying anything. I'm just speaking in generic platitudes. He doesn't know what a platitude is? Oh, you're probably right, frick. You're not having a conversation. You're just saying random stuff. Souls games are overhyped. Okay. All you do is run back and fight the boss. Oh, okay. God of War Ragnarok is superior to Elden Ring in every way. Okay. All right, cool, man. Game doesn't even have cutscenes. It's worse than Redfall. All right. Okay. Listen. Now Yins can't stay. You're not allowed to be here now. You're just baiting, boy. You're just baiting. Go. I don't know what you need to do. Get a Kratos body pillow and go snuggle with it. You need therapy. I personally love the Dead Space remake, but I respect that it wasn't your thing. At the end of the day, it's okay. Yeah, I didn't think it was very good. I just didn't. It didn't feel like a remake. It felt like an amazing remaster, and that's fine. That was my interpretation of it. Are you telling me that Lono hasn't been saying platypus this whole time? No. All you do is fight the boss, someone who has never played a Souls game. Yeah, that's all you do. How did Quantum TV get in the chat? Oh, come on. Don't be that way. Don't mention him here. He who shall not be named. He'll come claim a video. Sony did buy some stake in FromSoftware, so I could see something like Bloodborne coming. It's possible. It's possible. Here's the thing. This is why these... Okay, for those of you that are here late, and maybe you weren't here for the show open, most of the Bloodborne leaks that have happened, or the Bloodborne rumors... Pit Lord, I'm not going to let that hit chat. Most of them... I have completely ignored. I think I made one video about Bloodborne over on the other channel. I've never done a Bloodborne video here. I've never covered it. I did a Lies of P video and talked about the similarities between it and Bloodborne. Okay? That's it. And so, this time was different. Typically, I would see Bloodborne leaks and just toss them over my shoulder. I'm like, no. That's bogus. That's just somebody click farming, on Twitter. This time was different. Sony owns Bloodborne. From has zero to do with it. Yeah, FromSoftware doesn't have anything to do with it at this point. Now, obviously, you would want them to take part. This is why I think a Bloodborne remake, is the most likely. Because they would just use someone like Bluepoint to do it. You just have somebody who's already done great work with remakes and just have them do it again. A Bloodborne 2, I think you'd need FromSoftware involved. You'd need Miyazaki involved at some level. I do. I think you'd need that. Because if not, I don't necessarily think it would... I just don't know. You'd have to have the right team working on it. I don't think it would land as well. If From is not involved... If Miyazaki's not involved to some degree or to some level, I don't feel like a Bloodborne 2 would be as good. I'm not even like a huge FromSoftware guy. I'm not even like a Miyazaki worshiper, and I'm like, you'd need them involved. The rumor is Bloodborne Remake is being done by Bluepoint. My understanding from a dev we had on Brap last night is that Bloodborne is hard-coded to 30, so a remake would be needed to allow 60. I mentioned that in the show open, Brap, not your show or that guy, but I said, it's been stated before that you can't just bump Bloodborne up to 60. Now, there was a guy that made a mod for Bloodborne 60 FPS, but you had to modify your PlayStation 4 and then pay him on his Patreon for it. And he showed the footage to the guys at Digital Foundry, and they watched it and talked about it. Now, we don't know how well that ran. You could probably get into certain environments, certain fights. There could have been architectural problems, animation problems. Just Horizon Zero Dawn struggled in its PC port because the clothing animations weren't coded for 60, and stuff would be like freaking out. Like the clothes would be like going all over the place because it wasn't built that way. So if that's true about Bloodborne, which I think that it probably is, whenever you build a game for 30, all of the animation sets, the way the enemies move and swing and attack and dodge, the way you move and swing and attack and dodge, like all of those things are potentially just linked and locked to the 30. That's the guy who was an a-hole to Jaffe. Oh, the guy that Brap had on his show was the one who was... That tweet was really nasty, by the way. Like, if that guy's got good, if he has good intel, great. There was no reason to take the swipe that he took. Because it was, I don't even know if you'd call it a swipe. He frickin' swung below the belt in my mind. That was a swing below the belt. There was just no need for that. No need at all. You don't need to make it personal. There's no reason for that at all. Oh, you're saying no. The guy on Brap is not the guy that said it? Oh, you're talking about the guy named Lance? Get this, set me straight here. Who are you talking about, Eugene? Did you play Mortal Shell? I tried Mortal Shell and did not like it. It felt awkward. The guy that made the Bloodborne 60 FPS patch was the a-hole. Got it. Thank you. Okay. So just for clarity's sake, the guy that was on Basement Radio Arcade podcast is not the guy that sent the nasty tweet. Different people entirely. The guy that made the Bloodborne 60 FPS mod back in the day, he was the one that said what he said. His name is Lance McDonald. Got it. Okay. Not remaking Bloodborne is the equivalent of burning truckloads of money. It's going to get done eventually. Bloodborne PlayStation 1 was an interesting little project. Oh, was that one of those demake projects where they make it all pixelated? Wheezy says, I think Miyazaki probably has hands full with Armored Core 6, Elden Ring DLC, which is seemingly not coming until after March 2024, according to Katakawa Financial Reports and a mystery project. Well, here's the thing, Wheeze. I read through, somebody had a really good thread on what's next for Miyazaki, and one of the things he said is he wants to work on something that's more of an abstract fantasy RPG. The dev we had on worked at Ubisoft and Microsoft. Okay, thanks, Brap. Okay, so that person seemingly is in the know about as much as probably the reporter that spoke to Jaffe. I'm telling you, where there is smoke, there is fire, and this is smoke this time. I don't think we're getting faked out. I think this is happening. I was trying to explain yesterday, says PL. PC won't be able to run future console games or optimize. PC needs a restructure, not what we currently have. Why does PC need a restructure? What do you mean? They use all the same base parts, do they not? Wheezy says, yeah, mystery project. Now, I dismissed the 4chan rumor about some game where you use spells as weapons that Miyazaki's allegedly working on as a spiritual successor to Bloodborne. But when I read that he wanted to work on something more abstract, and then I went back to that rumor and that leak, I thought maybe Miyazaki is working on something with spells that you basically wield as weapons. I don't know. They said it was called Spellbound, and I was like, that sounds like such a terrible name. I think there's a game already called that. At the time, I dismissed it. It was just some guy on 4chan, and I was like, come on. It's funny they said, burning loads of money. Did Bloodborne even sell that well? It was here and gone so fast. It wasn't, JW, it wasn't that no one's asserting what they're asserting about Bloodborne because of how well commercially it did in the past. It's about, look at the marketing power it has right now. It sets the world on fire. Somebody will create a fake piece of artwork. Like this tweet right here. I interrupted the scene transition. Sorry. This tweet right here. All Rhino was asking, he's a pretty good follow on Twitter as well. He replies to his own tweets a lot and says, make sure and follow me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. He does that a ton. That's the only thing about following him that can be a little annoying. And I get why he's doing it. His tweets pull numbers. And he's trying to let people know, hey, you can follow or subscribe. I get why he's doing it. But Right here, all he did was say, you can have only one, the rest will never see the light of day. So it's like a fun poll, right? And he very smartly doesn't use a poll. He lets people reply. This tweet alone got Bloodborne 2 trending on Twitter. This guy's tweet got Bloodborne 2 trending on Twitter. Now, I saw this tweet, and it totally triggered me, and it tricked me, because I saw that Ghost of Tsushima 2 logo, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I got really excited, and then like half a second later, I realized what I was looking at. So, just that tweet alone. Bloodborne has massive marketing power. Spellbound is a placeholder for sure. I remember Bloodborne started as Project Beast. Bloodborne 2 all the way. Yeah. Bloodborne hyped. It sold consoles. I mean, I don't know how much it hyped back then. I don't know how much it moved. You know, I don't know how popular it was. Right? I've never gotten that into it before, so I couldn't tell you how popular it was back in the day. Ghost 2, I'll take that too. I would have to take Ghost 2 over the rest. I can at least still play the OG Bloodborne. Yeah, if I had to pick out of this bunch, chat, you can feel free to weigh in here. Uncharted 5 would be the last on my list. It'd be in fourth place. Bloodborne would be in second. Ghost would be in first. Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima would be in first place. Second place would be Bloodborne 2. Then The Last of Us Part 3. Then Uncharted 5. In that order. That would be my. That's how I'd put them in order. He's asking you to only pick one. Whatever. I'm not abiding by his rules. I wouldn't go that far. Bloodborne is great. I definitely wouldn't go that far, says Wheeze. Eugene says Bloodborne did very well as an early PlayStation 4 exclusive in a niche genre, and there's a ton of From fans that never got to play it as an exclusive. Thank you so much, Catwalk. I love how you guys slow walk the member goal some days. It's so good. Constantly reminding people you can become a member without gifteds, by the way. Hit that join button or the $sign. I'd love to see some new members jump in on their own. If you currently have a membership that was gifted to you, you can upgrade to Member Plus for $1, and it'll take you out of the member pool, the gifted member pool. You'll be taking care of your own membership from then on. And feel free to upgrade to VIP as well. We have like 277 VIPs, and we do an end of the week unfiltered debrief with VIPs. That's the only thing that we do for VIP only. It's a great reason to upgrade. Let's bring back the best game that never happened. Yeah, StarCraft Ghost. Oh, that was going to be so good. Well, maybe it was going to be good. Think about Days Gone. It got popular later, but it won't get a sequel. Oh, I think Days Gone will get a sequel. Yes. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of time. It got shot down. I think they're going to get it. I do. 271. Yeah, I think we might have more than 271. Let me check. Let me check what the count is on VIPs. Let me also tell you guys what the count is on total member count, because if we get to 4,000 members, I have to shave my beard. We got browse and suggest today. Nice. We were really rocking it. Yo, JW Universe, he bumps the member goal, jumps in on his own. I love seeing that white badge, man. Get committed, get involved, become a part of what we're doing here. It's a really, really great channel. Very, very generous. We're always doing stuff with members. 2737. I'm sorry, 2737. 3737. All right. You guys are 260 members away. 260 members away from me having to shave the beard. 260 is all it's going to take. And we have 271 VIP. So we'd love to see 300 VIP members help us hit that milestone and upgrade. The unfiltered end of the week debrief. Creature joins me, and you guys get a look behind the scenes on how the week went, how we strategized, how we feel, the meta of YouTube and the gaming world is going. It's usually a very, very fun talk. It's very transparent. You don't get that on a lot of channels. Very behind the scenes. Days Gone is a great game. If you never play it, try it out. By the way, if you haven't hit subscribe yet, subscribing is free. Subscribing doesn't cost any money, and it does let you talk in all of my live chats. Those saying it didn't sell well back then, From Games didn't have the huge fan base it has now. Everyone jumped to the bandwagon with Elden Ring. Isn't there a rumor about a Days Gone being teased at the showcase at the end of this month? I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that Bend met with Sony a couple of weeks ago. I don't think that's a coincidence. They may have inked a contract for the sequel so they could, make the announcement. It'll just be an announcement, though. I'm not saying that they're going to be there, but I could totally see that happening. Because Sony Bend is working on something using the technology of the open world in Days Gone, but I believe it's going to be like a multiplayer game. And then they recently went and inked a contract with Sony for something else. I think it was Days Gone 2, personally. I think they're lining up their next project. Yes, no, Days Gone 2 did get shot down. I think they came back to the table after how successful it did on PS Plus, after how successful it did as a PC port. I think Sony Bend came back to the table and said, let's have this conversation again, shall we? Yo, Skeeter coming in with a gifted member, pushing us to a nice even 40, 10 away from hitting the second milestone of the day. Watch your streams, very informative, man. Keep up the great content. Thank you so much, Unnamed Deity. Another gifted membership. Another one. DK Bager's like, no, I'm not going to let you have a nice even round number. He's an agent of chaos. There will never be a Days Gone 2? Why would you be that confident that there'd never be a Days Gone 2? Is the actor in Days Gone same guy from Force Unleashed? Yes, I believe it's him, is it not? Same face. Been watching, I think you meant since. Been watching since King's Fall Raid carries Lono. Been a while, but whatever adjustments you made to your flow lately has vastly improved your professionalism and entertainment value. Keep it up. Wow, that is very kind. Thank you. That's high praise, man. Thank you very much. I put a lot of work into the craft and to the monologues, and the show is nothing like what it once was. Further up and further in, baby. Lona, have you seen gameplay for MMO Chronos Odyssey for PS5? I have seen it. It looks like New World and Dark Souls and Elden Ring and Monster Hunter all got mashed into one game. But it's a Korean MMO. So be cautious in your excitement about it. It could end up with lots of nasty micros in it, okay? It could end up like Lost Ark. They could westernize the monetization and make it far more tolerable. 42 members on the day. Another gifted from Rockin' Robin. It goes to Unnamed Deity. After they pay me a nice compliment, they get a gifted member. Now they can be part of the members-only debrief. There's going to be an upload today about Game of the Year face-off this weekend between Zelda and Diablo. You're not going to want to miss that upload. Be glad you don't play this anymore. Game went way downhill. Yeah, that's not a comfort. I don't really care about that. This is the best daily gaming stream on YouTube. That is extremely kind. Thank you. We're getting very positive response to the content lately. The comments have been, hey man, this is the best show I've just started watching recently. People really appreciate the work that we put in here. Creature helps me find all of the news stories. We pick the one that we think is going to give us the best conversation piece. I really appreciate the strong turnout today. I was very nervous. At like 9 o'clock, there was 60 people waiting, and I was like, oh golly, Zelda crushed us. It killed our day. And I was wrong. You guys piled in the room, and we've had a great conversation, so let's keep it going. You've been through a lot with all the accusations. Lesser man would have rolled over and died. You pushed through. Seriously impressed. Thank you. Heck yeah, man. I remember the King's Fall days. I appreciate that. Funny enough, when I beat Ishin in Sekiro, that was sort of a moment that was like the capstone to, reforging the brand, reforging myself. That was a pretty significant moment. That's why Sekiro is a top 5 game for me. It really is. Beating Sekiro, this is one of the reasons I want a Bloodborne remake. I would love to play through it because I have a very fond affection for FromSoft. Now I obviously get angry, and I think they made decisions in Elden Ring that frustrate me. But I have a very strong affection for FromSoft games because they were kind of there for me when I needed them, and did something really special for us here with this channel. People that say, oh, you grew your channel bashing Xbox, like they don't know what the frick they're talking about. We had tons of growth purely from playing Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and all of the lead-up Elden Ring coverage, and then my playthrough of Elden Ring. That did really, really well for us. We met lots of people. Those were some of our biggest growth trajectories. We're going to talk about Diablo 4 dev stream and members because it was horrible from a casual gamer standpoint. I mean, I debated it with people at the end of the stream. Oh no, it's Alex. He wants to do a stream together about it. He wants to tag team because I did a poll yesterday asking about that very thing with the seasonal model. So, Gfinity looking for clicks today. There's always going to be somebody that breaks from the mold of reviews because they want everybody to talk about them. And guess what? It's working. Everybody's talking about them. I thought you came from Destiny. I did. Yeah, I did. I covered it full time for 5 years. And I will never cover it or Bungie games again. I love Bloodborne like a pet. So I want a remake as well. Dark Souls 2 and 3 remastered would be nice. I could see a Dark Souls remaster collection, but I wouldn't think you'd see that for 5 or 6 years. I don't know. FromSoft would have to agree, and you'd have to get somebody else to do it. You get Bluepoint to do it, you know, remake, remaster it, give it the spit shine that they gave Demon Souls. I think that could be pretty awesome, honestly. But I don't think you'd see that anytime soon. I think the next thing on the docket for think about it like this. They did the Demon Souls remake. They did The Last of Us Part 1 remake. Listen, it's time for the Bloodborne remake. You know what I mean? Lono made his channel bashing Bungie's bad decisions. I missed Q&A. That's right, Morecat. Get it right. I built my career bashing a game. Not Xbox. That's some serious Bungie hate. It's not hate. It's not hate. It's a lot deeper than that. It's a settled conviction. How did FromSoftware come up with their name? It makes me think I'm getting a present. Oh yeah, FromSoftware. Yeah. I always thought it was an odd name. For a development company. I don't think you'd see the sales for those like the other titles. Yeah, maybe not. But a collection would still do very well, I think. I trust Bluepoint with anything at this point. They're low-key the one to root for future projects. If it happens, it'll be a PS5 exclusive. Oh, I could see that. It's not hate, it's deeper than that. Yeah. Don't cheapen. Do not cheapen my what would you call it? Yeah, do not cheapen my righteous indignation by calling it hate. They are Japanese. That is true. It could be a loss in translation kind of a thing. Have they ever done an interview about their name, like where it came from? Where did it come from? Anyway. Trying to get my neck to pop. I remember Bluepoint was making a new game. They're working on something. Yeah, they're working on something. Dark Souls is their third highest selling game behind Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring. Really? The first Dark Souls at 5.5 million. Now they are including there's a remaster of Dark Souls 1, is there not? Is that included in those total sales? Can you ask your Korean friend if he knows? 어떻게 지내세요? No, I'm not going to ask him that. Technically, wouldn't that mean you arose from the ashes, bashing Sony then, since Sony owns Bungie now? Technically, yes. I need to see more of the Pinocchio game. You need to see more. What do you mean you need to see more? There's more gameplay of that game than many others. Are you saying, Russell, you need to go watch more? Or are you saying you want to see more? I feel like they've shown us a ton of Lies of P. Arguably too much. I feel like I've seen like 7 different bosses already. I don't know what you said, but I'm going to take it as disrespect because I didn't understand. I was just asking, how are you? I'm trying to learn little sayings, right? So that when I greet them, I don't have to just say 안녕, you know, 안녕하세요, you know, and 어떻게 지내세요? That's just asking, how are you? Morecat with a brand new, with a membership renewal. Welcome back in, Morecat. So I'm teaching myself how to say their children's Korean names. I learned how to say their Korean names because they were going by like, you know, nicknames. And I was like, no. I want to know what your Korean names are. So I'm slowly learning how to just do little greetings and stuff with them. It's fun. I think the Korean language and the Japanese language are just absolutely beautiful. They have to me, they sound like percussion. Like like if you listen closely, it's like they bounce off of the dentals and the consonants. It's just beautiful. I love it. Because they don't say Sekiro, they say Sekiro. Like, that's just awesome. They don't say samurai, they say samurai. Like, they bounce off the letters. It's just, I love it. I love playing those games in Japanese. And Korean. I think Korean's very similar in its syncopated, almost punctuated sounding. Chinese is more tonal, so I don't think it sounds as good as Japanese and Korean. Look at Lono, he's trying to get invited to the Korean barbecue. That was funny. Can you repeat that slowly? Japanese language is so cool. Diaphragm. Huh? Repeat what slowly? What I'm saying is Korean. 어떻게 지내세요? Is me saying, how are you doing? Like, how are you? And 안녕 is just like a basic greeting, hi and goodbye. 안녕하세요 is essentially how they say you're welcome. They don't actually say you're welcome, but what they say is 안녕하세요. It's like, it sounds like you're literally saying the letters N-E-A-O. 안녕하세요. And they like to, it's almost like sing-songy, like Hajima is stop doing that. So they're like, Hajima. Now, if they're really angry, these guys don't get very angry, right? But, you know, Hajima, I think that'll be very firm, you know. Kajima is don't go there. Kaja is let's go, right? Kaja, they'll go up. Hajima, Kaja. 어떻게 지내세요? See, they'll do like up. I think the inflection in the language is also very pretty, I think. It's very sing-songy. Yeah, Arrested Development, Anyang, that's right. Yeah, I learned hi from Arrested Development. That's right. They called him Anyang. That's right. It was very funny. Sometimes I enjoy listening to like ASMR, and sometimes the talking is distracting because like I'll be listening to it to just relax, like while I'm writing something. But if they're speaking English, it's distracting. So sometimes I've listened to Korean ASMR because it's just such a beautiful language, and I don't know what they're saying. It's just relaxing. So softly spoken Korean. Oh, it's awesome. Pretty sure NEAO is hug. Anajo? I don't know how to pronounce that. Anajo? Caller for the Bloodborne news, stay for the linguistic education. Google is your friend, man. Google is your friend. Like, I'm learning little greetings, and they love it. They get so excited. You know, it's a piece of home to have somebody speak Korean to you, you know? Well, Bungie, it was BS. I sold my collector's editions and quit after that. Just couldn't find myself playing games, support a dumb decision like that. Man, that's cool. You don't have to worry about all that, man. You know? You do not have to worry about any of that. We're having our own time and our own fun. And speaking of that, you guys are 8 away from 50. You have a little bit of time to nail that. I will gift the 10 members that I owe you in the premiere. On the topic of Game of the Year, we have a great video prepared for you that's looking at this weekend. Kind of a unique weekend. Might be one of the biggest weekends in gaming this year with a Diablo Server Slam and the launch of Zelda. Now, this premiere is sort of looking at this weekend and the big face-off and just asking the question, do you guys think this is going to be a, Game of the Year, Zelda versus Diablo or debrief? Is this going to be a face-off this year in many people's minds in this weekend? And I sort of read through the article and kind of react, and then you guys can watch it. And if you're a member, you can debrief about it, and you can tell me what you think is going to be Game of the Year this year. We can do that with members. So that's a great reason to be a member. It's a great reason to gift 8 more or to jump in right now on your own. Instead of waiting for people to gift, just jump in. It's only $5. And then when we do these debriefs, you can be a part of it. Now, everybody can watch the premiere, and I actually gift the members during the premiere. That's an incentive to go watch it, and just a thank you to the people that do. Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. Yeah, I appreciate everybody's passion about what happened way back then, but it just doesn't do us any good to bring it up and to be like, man, screw them for what they did. It just isn't helpful, So I appreciate that word from Mike being like, man, guys, come on, let's move on. Let's not go back there. That's exactly right. Redfall for Game of the Year. Yeah, dude, Redfall. Redfall's got it locked in. Thank you, Broken Surprise, for 3 months and a VIP. Matasbo's at a Member Plus. Woot, keep it up. 24 months by Christmas, maybe. Thanks for 18 months, Matasmo. Guys, don't forget, if you are at a Member Plus, you can upgrade to VIP for the least amount. It's only a $4 bump, and then you can be a part of that end-of-the-week VIP. So a lot of you guys are on that Member Plus when we were getting ready. We were trying to get people to convert. Up from gifteds to full memberships, and we ended up scrapping the idea. But a lot of you are still at that Member Plus, which is just a great way to support and get yourself out of the gifted member pool. So right now, if you're on a gifted member, $1 can get you out of that pool. But if you're at a Member Plus, man, jumping to the VIP is really easy. Really, really easy. Schedule the They're going to announce a PlayStation-only Monster Hunter. I don't think that's true. No, I do not think that is true. I've not seen anything about that. I don't think they would do that to Monhun unless they secured some kind of a deal. I don't think so. I do not think so. I'm getting all the redirects set up. Guys, what a day today. We should be pushing for 500 likes as well. Thanks for just an amazing discussion and turnout. Bloodborne Remake Remaster. We only need 34 more likes. I held off. I really did. I held off on this one for a while just because I just felt like there wasn't enough substance to the leaks and to the rumors. And then the stuff with Jaffe, I think, really changed. Really changed my perspective on it. Monster Hunter is not that big. Say what? Monhun's pretty big. What you talking about? Monhun's globally very popular. They can't secure any deal big enough for PlayStation-only Monster Hunter. Yeah. Monhun's very big property. It's like when people say car games aren't that big. It's like, I don't think you realize it very popular. Never change, YouTube chat. Never change. If you look up Monster Hunter total sales, just as a franchise, Monster Hunter World, just Monster Hunter World sold 18.6 million units worldwide. That's just Monster Hunter World, brother. 18.5 million. That's one. That's one of the titles, historically speaking. It's big. Yo, Catwalk says, and another one, taking us to 47, right on the doorstep of 50. The generosity has just been so crazy lately. Did we get any coffee sales? No, guys, don't forget about the big coffee sale. The light roast and the Frickmas blend are getting real low. Getting real low. The Frickmas is down to the final 54, and the Light Roast is down to the final 25, and they're both heavily discounted right now. If you've never tried coffee before with balanced acidity, you should really try our coffee. We get constant compliments about how smooth it is, about how tasty it is. Come on, camera, switch back. And we get really good repeat buyers. Like, once you try my coffee, you ain't going to go back. So check it out. The brand new bags especially are very nice. You tear off the top, you reseal them. They're nice and big. Sit nice on the counter next to your coffee pot. So feel free to try that out. And I will owe you guys, it looks like I'm going to end up owing you 10 members. You guys have 10 minutes to roll this over with 3 more. They did with Nintendo, temporary exclusive. Capcom straight up told them it's not happening. Did you know Nintendo tried to secure an exclusivity deal for Monster Hunter Rise? Yeah, they did a temporary, but it's not an actual exclusive. Does that make sense? Like, I think that's an important distinction. Paul says, add 4-player co-op like State of Decay, and it would be a blast. I missed that in Kick. Sorry, Paul. You were talking about Days Gone. You can't tell me about Monster Hunter. Trust me, I have forgotten more about Monster Hunter than you will ever know. Yeah, Weezy's big Mon Hun guy. Big Mon Hun guy. So, I put 400 hours into Monster Hunter. It's an amazing game you can get lost in. Yeah, I wish I enjoyed the core mechanics. I wish I enjoyed the content loop and the fighting, because I think it's a beautiful game with amazing depth and just a lot of really good TLC, a lot of tender love and care, and a lot of respect for their audience and there's the people that support the game, You think my Hispanic mom would like your coffee? She's very particular about her coffee. Pedro, do you know, does she typically gravitate towards like really bitter, strong coffee? Does she like it to be more like a dessert with lots of creamer? Where, like, on that spectrum of like motor oil to dessert, where does she typically lean? My coffee is going to be more on the smooth, not very acidic. The balanced acidity keeps the bitterness way down. It's not, if you want it to be like motor oil that puts hair on the bottom of your feet, that's not my coffee. My coffee is very smooth. It's for daily coffee drinkers that don't want it to bite their tongue off. And we have a lot of repeat buyers. The light roast is basically our catalyst. Like, people try the light roast, and then they end up trying dark, and then they pick the one they like the most. So, Abe says it's really good coffee. It's balanced. It has good flavor. My game of the year early predictions: Hogwarts, Zelda, Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2, Hollow Knight, Silksong. I don't think Hollow Knight's landing this year, my friend. I don't. Give me the motor oil. Yeah, some people want motor oil in their cup every morning. Guys, could we get 25 more likes and 3 gifted members before this stream comes to a close? We're getting ready to head over to a fight for Game of the Year has starting this weekend. Vengeance says Frickmas is the best. Well, it's a great time to buy Frickmas because it's marked all the way down to $10.95. Plowing through. She drinks regular black coffee. Lots of Bustelo. Listen, the guys that drink the dark roast black, they say it's some of the best coffee to drink black. So I would get her the nice new bags too. I mean, you tear the top, they're reseal. So, new game of the year for Starfield. I don't know. Listen. Save your game of the year debate points for the members debrief. Okay, we're about to go to a game of the year video. Save it all. Bottle it up. Don't waste it right now on the tail end of a Bloodborne stream, okay? On the tail end of a Bloodborne stream. There it is, a coffee order coming in from Pasty Gorilla. 2 bags of light roast. Thank you so much, man. Vendetta says, Bustelo, I knew it. She would like the dark roast. There you go. Thank you, everybody. If you're listening to the audio version of this and you're like, man, this guy's always talking about his coffee, don't forget, it's reforgeroast.com. reforgeroast.com. Tears of the Kingdom's game of the year. It's locked unless Starfield or Armored Core 6 blow our minds. Listen, hold on to it. You guys are cannibalizing the members debrief. Hold on to your opinions about all that, right? Hold tight. We're almost there. 6 minutes. 6 minutes to the premiere. Okay. Vengeance better ask for forgiveness than permission. That's right. Telling you if Horizon is getting an MMORPG game, Sony has their own Monster Hunter. That's actually kind of true. That's actually kind of true. Am I saying it right, Bustelo? As a coffee guy, I would talk about it on my channel too. I can't read that, Suede. Hang on. Suede with a 2-month membership. Thank you so much. Appreciate that so much. To English. There is no cold weather. I can't say it. That one's tough. That one's tough. That one's hard. What do you... There is no cold weather? What? Oh, man. We got another coffee order coming in. An order of Frickmas. Thank you so much for ordering that. Guys, clock's ticking. Clock's ticking. You need 3 more, and I owe you 10. I'm going to give 10 members during the premiere. We need 3 more. I want a horseshoe to stand straight up. I don't understand what you mean. Oh, in the coffee. Yeah. You are saying it correct. Okay, Bustelo. Do you think the new My Little Pony exclusive is coming to PlayStation? No. Hang on just a second. Let's see something. Okay. All right. At least your account is old. Get a little suspicious. What's going on with Pal World? No, they haven't said anything. They've gone kind of quiet. Yo, Jay White just upgraded to Member Plus, pulling yourself out of the gifted member pool. Thank you for doing that, Jay White. Not sure why my account is screwed up. Should be there is no limit, but my Korean sucks. Suede, it looks like your badge got fixed. You're a purple instead of a blue. Isn't that the correct badge? There is no limit. Okay. Reforge Dark Roast smells like chocolate cake. There's hints of chocolate in the Dark Roast. There is. His Dark Roast is great straight. Thank you for that endorsement. Guys, clock's ticking. What's your opinion on rated games like WATA and the VGA stuff? I'm not sure what's WATA. The VGA, Video Game Awards. What's my opinion on rated games like WATA? What's WATA? Isn't Power World the Pokemon meat grinder game with warfare and stuff? Yeah, it's like a Pokemon Fortnite game. It's kind of what it looks like. That's what Power World looks like. It's all but guaranteed Monhun 6 will be announced at the Tokyo Game Show. Yeah. I've seen that in multiple places that Monhun 6 will be at TGS. All right, guys, 2 minutes. 2 minutes and we're heading to the premiere. You guys are letting me off easy. I only have to give 5. That's on you. Not on me. That's on you. Some real generous people today got us really close to 50. Just save your question until I'm through, Chuck. If you've never done a membership on YouTube before, you're like, why is this guy pushing memberships? I've just streamed for 2.5 hours. I never ran advertisements not once, because it disrupts the show. Memberships are how live streams basically survive. Like, that's how we do what we do. Very generous community here, very active members-only Discord, and members-only debriefs basically every day of the week that you get to be a part of. So, I guess a My Little Pony game. I don't know. I'm always super suspicious of somebody who comes in and immediately turns up the temperature to 11 and they bring up the Bungie stuff and then they ask questions like that. You know what I mean? It's basically like how trading cards get rated for their quality and sealed up for collectors, graded games. Yeah, I've never heard of that. I don't know. I'm being dead serious. I mean, I know what the Game Awards is. I mean, I co-stream it, but I don't know what. I've never did a video on that or read an article on it. Maybe Tekken 8 open beta, huh? All right, we're 1 minute away. I'll put the link in chat. I'll also redirect you guys to this premiere. I will be gifting 5 members, and so that's a great reason to go over. Great reason to go over to this premiere. I highly recommend becoming a member. You'll definitely get a bang for your buck. All right, you guys get 60 seconds to bang out 3 members, or you let me off the hook. All you guys over there on Kick, head over to YouTube so you can watch the premiere. Okay. Don't sleep on Street Fighter 6. I'm just not a fighting game guy. I'm not a fighting game guy. All right, you guys let me off the hook. I'm going to spam the link in chat. I will see you over in the premiere. I will give 5 members over there, right? I'll tell you what. If there's any more members over during the premiere, I'll make good on it. You only need 3 more to push me to 10. I'll make good on it. The day's not done yet, all right? Click the link in chat or ride the redirect, and then we can have a Game of the Year debate with members. So this premiere is for everybody. Cardoc with the frickin' buzzer beater. There you go. All right, I'll see you guys over there. I owe you 10 members. Go over with this redirect or click the link in chat. If that doesn't work, it'll be the premiere video. It'll be the featured video on this channel. You can go get yourself a membership, all right? I'll see you guys over there.